Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S.S, and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesdays, Season 2, Episode 36. Now, as we usually do, I'm going to go ahead, drop in the topics for today in the comments, as well as throw our logo for the show in the background. While I do that, as y'all are coming in, let me know how y'all doing, how y'all feeling, and what's the word for today. And while that is also going on, shouts out to all of y'all that are watching this now, and for those who will be watching this later, either on Instagram or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to your boy at A.D.V.I.S.S Speaks, because there's going to be more content, more videos to come. So don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more. What's going on, kid? What's going on, Kid Effecto? Good to see you in here. Appreciate you coming through. What's the word? Now, while more people are coming through for today's episode 36, the topics that we are going to be talking about today are going to include current events. So going through a news portion. So portion of this show, going to be talking about the news. Second, we're going to get into one of my favorite words, which is balance. We're going to talk about that. And lastly, we're going to talk about the levels of observation. So there's multiple different levels, as well as theories, etc. about observation. So we'll dig into a few and continue from there. But with that, again, thank y'all for coming through. Thank you for showing love, because without y'all, this show would not continue. So I appreciate your time, your support, and your participation. But let's go ahead, let it finish up a little bit. So I got a lot of news for today too, on top of there's a number of things to get done and accomplish. So appreciate y'all coming through and giving your time. Gotta stay consistent. And now I gotta make that consistency. Come on. All right. With that, let's go ahead and get the show song on the way, and let's get into these topics and current events right after. Once again, if you don't know the song, at least the chorus of the song that I'm singing, you'll find out and learn to sing along with it later, but this is the show song. So when we asking, we tell them like, what's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? What's the word, y'all? What's the word? Tell them like, what's the word? What's the word? What you heard? We gotta know, yeah, what's the word? Peace and love, y'all. Again, this is your brother A.D.V.I.S.S, and we are here with another episode of What's the Word Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 36. Shouts out to the brother Sub Rock in the building, and that's 4C, so y'all can see the brother. Man, appreciate you coming through. What's the word, my G? But again, y'all, Episode 36, Season 2, What's the Word Wednesday, and appreciate y'all for coming through, and appreciate those who'll be watching this later as well on Instagram and YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to your boy at A.D.V.I.S.S Speaks, etc. But with that, y'all, for today's show, again, the topics that we got, we're going to be talking about current events. So I'm going to give y'all a news portion. We got a lot of news, so we're going to talk about some news. Second, we're going to get into talking about balance. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the levels of observation. With that, let's go ahead and get started with these current events. So, to section off the news and what I got, as well as if y'all have any news reports, please throw them in the comments and share them. I appreciate, again, your time and your participation. So please throw those down in the comments. But the news sections we got for today, first half of it ranging and talking about, of course, still the situation in the pandemic and new emergences of vaccines, etc. Second half, talking about things that are happening, at least within the U.S., some in the courts, as well as in different states. And then lastly, I have one about some new science that has emerged. But that is all the ones I have for news. But let's go ahead and we're going to start with the first article. And so the first article comes from MSN, but specifically Bloomberg. And the headline reads, South African scientists sound caution on Omicron case severity. So to catch folks up, those who are unaware of what's going on right now, there is a reemergence of another coronavirus strand known as the Omicron variant. And it was first discovered in South Africa. So now experts are, of course, running to this case to figure out what is going on and where has it spread and its, severity, etc. So this first article, I'm going to speak a little bit about that, but just to catch y'all up on that. So there's a new coronavirus variant going around. So again, Bloomberg, the headline is South African scientists sound caution on Omicron case severity. And shouts out to the brother Freddie the Wizard in the building. What's good with you, brother? Peace and one love, my man. Peace and one love. So, 2 paragraphs and we're out. Article reads, leading African scientists warned it is still too early to determine that the Omicron variant will only cause mild illness. The true impact of the coronavirus strand is currently hard to determine because it has so far mostly affected young people who are better able to fight off the pathogen, and people tend to get sicker after carrying the virus for some time, scientists said in a presentation to lawmakers on Wednesday. Earlier, the National Institute of Communicable Diseases said that the daily number of new confirmed cases in South Africa almost doubled to 8,561 infections in the last 24 hours. Omicron is now by far the dominant strand in the country, and this is specifically in Africa. The latest infections have occurred mostly in the younger age groups, but we are starting to see this move into the older groups. Michelle Groom, head of the health or public health surveillance and response at NICD, told the lawmakers, we are also expecting the more severe complications may not present themselves for a few weeks. So there is more going on, but again, this variant was found at least around in November. Here it says on November 25th, the South African government and scientists announced that a new variant, later christened Omicron by the World Health Organization, has been found in the country. So on the 25th is when this was found. And if I'm correct, wasn't that quote unquote Thanksgiving? We're thankful for another variant. Forget all that. But basically, this article is just letting folks know that there is still work to be done and needed to figure out the severity of this new strand, as well as this new variant, and what folks are doing, especially in South Africa, to combat it. Again, this article came from Bloomberg. Title read, South African scientists sound caution on Omicron case severity. And again, y'all, if y'all have any topics, or I should say any news that you would want to share, please put them down in the comments. And shouts out to Kundin. Good to see you in here, Kundin. What's the word? All right, now on to the next one. Now, this one in particular, y'all, I want to share is a video of Fauci, Dr. Fauci. If y'all don't know, Dr. Fauci is one of, if not, is the he is the leading doctor for the infectious diseases for the administration. And again, he is the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and he is speaking on the first confirmed case in the U.S. So again, this headline comes from CNN Health, and it reads, first confirmed U.S. case of Omicron coronavirus variant detected specifically in California. Shouts out to the brother Just Blue in the building. How you doing, my G? What's the word? So I'm going to show this video to y'all. Y'all let me know y'all can hear it. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me as well, because I'm just talking and talking. I'm not too sure how I sound. But y'all let me know on this video. I'm going to play it, and then we'll continue going on. And I just epically failed. Here we go.
As some of you may have heard, the California and San Francisco Departments of Public Health and the CDC have confirmed that a recent case of COVID-19 among an individual in California was caused by the Omicron variant. Genomic sequencing was conducted at the University of California at San Francisco, and the sequence was confirmed at the CDC as being consistent with the Omicron variant. So I know there are a lot of questions, but here's what we know right now. The individual was a traveler who returned from South Africa on November the 22nd and tested positive on November the 29th. The individual is self-quarantining, and all close contacts have been contacted, and all close contacts thus far have tested negative. The individual was fully vaccinated and experienced mild symptoms, which are improving at this point. So this is the first confirmed case of COVID-19 caused by the Omicron variant detected in the United States. And as all of you know, because we've been discussing this, we knew that it was just a matter of time before the first case of Omicron would be detected in the United States. And as you know, we know, I've been saying it, and my colleagues on the medical team and others have been saying it, we know what we need to do to protect people. Get vaccinated. If you're not already vaccinated, get boosted. If you've been vaccinated for more than 6 months with an mRNA, or 2 months with J&J, and all the other things we've been talking about getting your children vaccinated, masking in indoor congregate settings, etc.
Boom. So, again, y'all, I probably got something else I'm going to show you later on as well. But again, that was just Fauci speaking on the first known case, specifically said in California, and basically talking about the person quarantining, but now just knowing that it is here in the U.S. It was inevitable, like other people were saying. But again, for all of this, do what you need to do to keep yourselves safe, yourselves healthy, as well as, clean. Practice all the protocols that are needed for yourself to do so. If you want to go and get the shot, go ahead. If you don't, again, know your options and be firm in how you follow your regimen of keeping yourself healthy. Now, I see y'all is going in, definitely in the comments. So let me go ahead and look through these comments, and I'll move on to the next article after that. So what we got? So we see, I just had this name up and I just took it down. All I know is Ghislaine. That's all that comes to my head right now. So let's see. Are you talking about Omicron and the ban on African countries? Not specifically the ban. I know they're doing a ban on that because I've seen videos, but I didn't pull anything up specifically to talk about there being a ban on African countries, even though it's specifically coming out only like 1 or 2. But yeah, I'm not talking about that specifically. the Ghislaine Maxwell and Elizabeth Holmes high-profile trials this week too. Hope they both get convicted. I have to really, again, do some notes on that because I don't even know who these two folks are, but I do have an article on the Ghislaine Maxwell one, so we'll get into that later. Said, man, I hope so. This is wild. It is. I'm telling you right now. And falsely convicted Anthony Broadwater has been exonerated after spending 16 plus years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. That always happens. That's the system for you. In the Bay too. Yes. SF. His accuser, Alice Sebold, remained silent even though she profited immensely from her memoir. She should apologize and pay him. Again, that's just how the system works and how things are set up for folks. So if they was already making money off of that, what's going to really stop them and knock them from doing that? That's just like how they just, in a way, almost exonerated the folks who ended up sitting in jail for Malcolm X. So there's a number of stuff the system is all over the place with when it comes to that. But appreciate y'all. Let's move to the next article. Again, if y'all have more, please, thank you for sharing these. Keep sharing them. Share your thoughts. All that's needed in there, please. So put them in there. And shouts out to Random Thoughts Podcast in the building. Boy, L to the Y to the R-I-C-S. It's the lyrics. Good to see you in here, brother. Now, next article we got, y'all, is coming from, again, specifically, Bloomberg, and the headline reads, Australia says no sign Omicron deadlier. U.S. case. Virus update. So let's see this update in particular. What's good? I see. All right, gotta hold on, my G. For the news, I'm just chilling, going through the news. Once I get into the other topics, I start adding folks. So if you got something you want to talk about newsways, throw it in the comments. But yeah, so again, headline is from Bloomberg. Australia says no sign Omicron deadlier. U.S. case update from the virus. So let's see. 2 paragraphs and we're out. So, reads, there is no indication the Omicron variant is deadlier than other COVID strands, with all cases reported globally so far being very mild, with showing no symptoms at all, Australia's chief medical officer said. And my G, if you're willing to stay through, because it is going to be like another 20 minutes or so, like you can definitely stay through until we get to the topics. If not, my G, you can head off, but I appreciate you coming through nonetheless. Continuing, the U.S., Ireland, Norway, Iceland, and South Korea were among countries reporting the first cases of the new variant. Indonesia is extending quarantine time for arrivals and has banned government officials from overseas travel unless urgent for national business. The WHO's chief scientist said vaccines will likely protect against severe cases of the Omicron variant. The UK agreed to buy an additional 114 million Moderna Incorporated and Pfizer Incorporated Biotechnic SE COVID vaccines doses to secure supplies following the emergence of Omicron. So more and more stuff is being brought for that. And the key thing I'm going to talk about here, and then I'll stop, is the virus tracker update. And what's going on, Chinese? Peace and love. Good to see you. Virus tracker. It says cases top 263 million. Deaths pass 5.2 million. More than 8 billion doses given. Travel bans won't stop the Omicron. And I'll leave it at that because there's a lot more on here. But again, this article is just giving an update to all the different places that are experiencing the Omicron. Some experiencing no type of signs of it being deadlier. Others still trying to figure it out. But again, this is a new strand that's popped up, y'all, and it's all over the place. People's trying to figure out what to do with it. So again, this comes from Bloomberg, the headline read, Australia says no sign Omicron deadlier. U.S. case virus update. And I share this again because just say if y'all want to go look it up yourself, you already have it, or at least hear it, and you can go back and also hear it in a live. But shouts out to everyone that's up in here right now. You are tuned in with your boy and your brother A.D.V.I.S.S for What's the Word Wednesdays. Right now we're doing a news section, so if anyone doesn't really want to hear about the news, you're more than welcome to head out and come back in the next 20 minutes, and then we'll move on to the later portion of the show. But appreciate those who are here, is still rocking with us, and let's keep this news going. Right. Next article we got talking about this variant. Now there's another method to work about, is coming from NPR, and the headline reads, a different kind of COVID vaccine is about ready to roll. So let's read a bit of this. We're going to go with 3 this time. 3 paragraphs and we're out. So, headline of this article. It reads, a new kind of COVID-19 vaccine is about to roll out around the world. Although it won't replace the highly successful vaccines currently available, it could make a difference in the course of the pandemic, especially in lower resource countries. These new vaccines are what's called protein subunit vaccines. They work by injecting people with a tiny portion of the virus. In the case of the COVID-19 vaccine, that tiny portion is the so-called spike protein, critical for the virus to enter cells. An advantage of the protein subunit vaccines is they tend to be very stable, so they don't require freezers for storage. A regular refrigerator is adequate. This makes distributing a vaccine much easier. Now, I could go more into this, but I'm going to stop it right there. Again, this article reads, and it's from NPR, and it reads, a different kind of COVID vaccine is about ready to roll. Now, y'all's probably wondering about, okay, what is a protein subunit vaccine? I read it, but also, why are there so many different types of vaccines? I was asking that question myself. So I'm going to share with y'all a few other types of vaccines, at least that are noted, and y'all can continue from there. If you want to know, you can look up HHS, it's 2 H's, s.gov. And basically there you can find other types of vaccines, and you'll find that information. So there are a few different vaccine types. I'll just name them and then we'll move on. So one of them is called an inactivated vaccine or vaccines. Another one is called live extenuated vaccines. The third one is the messenger RNA vaccines, which are currently being used for the ones that we have for Moderna and Pfizer. The other ones you have is subunit, recombinant, polysaccharide, and conjugate vaccines. Another one is toxoid vaccines. And the last, at least on this list, is viral vector vaccines. So there are different types of vaccine. I call them technologies that are used, or methods. So those are the few. I just wanted to share them because it was just like, okay, what was the mRNA? What is this type of one? Because there's so many different, at least, technologies and methods right now being used for vaccines. Some newer, some have been studied for years, but just wanted to share that with y'all. Y'all can find this again. It's on the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which is hhs.gov. But all right, let's move on, y'all. But before I do that, going to the next one, let me see what we got in the comments. Appreciate y'all coming through and chilling with your boy with the news. So let's see. Said one more news. Scientists have developed. Kundin, that's the last thing that I'm going to talk about. I'm actually going to show the video of that. I'm glad. I mean, we were already talking about this, so I'm going to talk about that the last thing for the news. So thank you for sharing that. I know, but let me at least read it out. People know. So scientists have developed self-replicating living biological robots using frog skin cells. World's first unique reproduction mechanism too. I read the news and even attended a Zoom presentation directly with these scientists themselves this morning. Fascinating. There's a number of questionable things. I mean, with this, of course, we have the pros and the cons, but again, what is the intent behind any of this? What is this technology going to help promote? What is it going to replace, or what is it going to upgrade? You got more information than a lot of us going to the Zoom presentation, but we'll see. When I get to it, we'll talk more. All right. Next article comes from CNN Health. Headline reads, FDA advisors vote to recommend authorization of a pill to treat COVID-19. So on top of all of that, we have the different types of vaccines. We have the past vaccine passports. You have these different variants that are out here, as well as different methods people were talking about in the beginning when the pandemic started, and now we're coming out with this pill form. I spoke about it a couple Wednesdays before, if not almost 2 months back, about that type of pill, which is from Merck. Now let's get a little bit more into this article. If y'all got more, please throw it in the comments. All right, article reads, and we're going to do 2 paragraphs for this one, and we're out. Boom. Advisors to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, so FDA, voted 1310 Tuesday to recommend emergency use authorization of a pill made by Merck and Ridgeback Biotherapeutics to help treat COVID-19. Bruh. I'll speak my points after that. Members of the FDA's Antimicrobial Drug Advisory Committee, all these big old names, were split in their vote to recommend Molnupiravir, which is weird, which can reduce the relative risk someone will progress to severe disease or death for about 30%. The absolute reduction in the risk of severe disease or death was 3% to about 9.7%. Of people who took the placebo died, and compared to the 6.8% of those who took the Molnupiravir. It's a weird name. That's all I gotta say. If authorized is granted, the drug will be the first oral antiviral treatment to fight COVID-19. It comes in a capsule form, so like you get in your vitamins, all of these, your pills that regularly are there. The pill must be taken within 5 days of the start of symptoms to do much good. And people must take 4 pills twice a day for 5 days. Members of the committee were worried about risks to pregnant women. Now, there's more information. I'm going to stop it here because after I saw that, it says you got 4 pills twice a day for 5 days. So I'm trying to figure out. So 4 pills twice a day. So is that 2 and 2? Or is that 4 and 4? We taking 8 pills in one day? Bruh, woof! My goodness. Again, Instagram, YouTube, don't get on me because these are all articles and information coming from CNN, MSN, Bloomberg, etc., NPR. So that's me. I'm just sharing the news, so don't get on me. But that's very interesting. Again, this comes from CNN Health. It reads, FDA advisors wrote to recommend authorization of a pill to treat COVID-19. So interesting. So much, y'all. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts in there. I already see y'all are going in a bit. At least speak on this, man. But yeah. So let's see. We got here outside the vax. That robot is effing me up. Yeah, man. They claim they're just curious. I don't buy it. Of course not. The intention, heck nah. Shoot. This is playing out too smooth for me. It's spooky. It's definitely spooky, y'all. It's definitely spooky. Something don't seem right. We look it. Blue, you got the code. You wrote the song. You know you got the code, man. Y'all watch it. I'm not going to even start before people get this all misconstrued. But again, y'all stay aware. There's so much going on that's being played, man. This is not checkers. This is chess and other high level games. So please stay aware. All right. Next article I got for y'all comes from NPR again. And this headline reads, Marcus Lamb, the Christian broadcaster who discouraged vaccines, dies from COVID-19. Interesting. I wanted to at least make this balanced because I seen this. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to read this whole article because it's short and y'all let y'all know what y'all think. So, article reads, Marcus Lamb, CEO and founder of the conservative Christian Daystar television network, who was outspoken against COVID-19 vaccines, has passed on at the age of 64 after contracting the virus. Daystar confirmed his passing Tuesday. It is with a heavy heart we announce that Marcus Lamb, president and founder of the Daystar television network, went home to be with the Lord this morning. The network said a tweet Tuesday. The family asks that their privacy be respected as they grieve this difficult loss. Please continue to lift them up in prayer. Lamb's relatives have spoken over the past month about his battle with the virus. His wife, Joni, said that he had diabetes and was hospitalized after his oxygen levels dropped. Pay attention. Lamb and Daystar, based in Bedford, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, are promoted views opposing COVID-19 vaccines and restrictions to stop the spread of the disease. The network's program has featured vaccine skeptics and healthcare professionals who promote alternative COVID-19 treatments. It is unclear whether Ram received a COVID vaccine. In recent months, a number of prominent anti-vaccination Christian broadcasters have passed on from COVID-19. Radio host Dick Farrell, Phil Valentine, and Mark Bernier, who were unvaccinated, all passed on after they contracted the virus. Now, again, y'all, this comes from NPR. Headline reads, Marcus Lamb, the Christian broadcaster who discouraged vaccines, dies from COVID-19. In this particular case, again, at least what I noted, the main thing that popped out to me is that his wife, Joni, said he had diabetes. So we have these comorbidities as well as the older age. So you got to think about it, at least the research and what has been done and what has been already put out in studies of what and how at least prominent COVID is when it comes along age, as well as those who have two different or multiple different health, risk and problems. But yeah, y'all, if y'all got more, please throw it in the comments. I'm keeping it moving. We got 4 more and we'll be done with the news section. I had a lot today because I wanted to make sure I get it out there to y'all. There's so much more news, but keeping it here. Next article comes from Washington Examiner and headline reads, Federal employee vaccine mandate could result in thousands of firings. Here's what that means for government functions. So again, for those who don't know, at least for right now, the vaccine mandate has been halted for a bit in time because a lot of the court cases being, again, brought up to the president and the U.S. and the government to halt in certain areas for the main mandate, which was saying if you had over 100 employees that you would have to end up getting them all vaccinated, and if not, you would be punished with a fine in some way, shape, or form. That's just the short end. There might be more, but y'all don't quote me on it. But we're going to read this article, and again, 2 paragraphs and we're out. Article reads, the Biden administration's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for federal workers went into effect November 22nd. Despite vocal opposition from some members of Congress, this mandate could result in more than 100,000 people being disciplined or fired for refusing to comply, even if those workers are otherwise excellent employees, or if their loss will severely disrupt the government's ability to function. The White House reports that 92% of 3.5 million total federal workers have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. Another 4.5 are considered in compliance by way of having requested an exemption, with some but not all of those exemptions have been approved thus far. Federal employees who have already resigned or found new employment due to the vaccine mandate are not included in these figures. If all of those exemptions granted for the 4.5% and the 96.5% are in compliance, there is still a loss of 3.5% or 121,500 federal workers who are not willing to get vaccinated. I don't need to go more into this because we can already, and I've spoken about it in previous shows, of what happens with this mandate and there being loss of jobs as well as a lack of workforce. We know what ends up happening. It even says it. It says, here's what that means for government functions. Making a business or any place be able to function. So, got to be mindful. They got to be mindful what's going on in people's choices in this whole situation with the mandate. But again, this article came from Washington Examiner, and the headline read, Federal employee vaccine mandate could result in thousands of firings. Here's what that means for government functions. Boom. Now we're getting to the last three. Let me check these comments and we'll continue going on. Let's see, man. I already wrote it down. Pick apart the population. Separate the... Bruh, that's what I'm saying. You had the code, bruh, already. I mean, a lot of folks who are able to already be there and are paying attention knew this progression. They seen the steps and the levels of where this is going. So, again, just have a plan. Know what you're going to end up doing. Again, keep yourself safe, your family safe, all those people safe, and just know what your, outcomes and, the consequences will be for whatever actions you take. Again, they say this life is a game, but again, right now you got to have some type of game plan. So I'm sending that to all y'all. Get y'all a game plan, whatever it may end up being, because we don't know how much longer. It seems like it's going to go on for a while. Right. Next article comes from NPR. Headline reads, 15-year-old boy charged with murder, terrorism, in Michigan high school shooting. So again, y'all, we got some more, man. The block is hot. The U.S. is hot. Everywhere is hot. But then this is even hotter, man. More guns. So I'm going to read a little bit. I've heard parts of this, but I'm not too sure what's going on. So 2 paragraphs and we're out. Boom. A 15-year-old boy who was charged with murder and terrorism for a shooting that killed 4 fellow students and injured more at the Michigan high school, authorities said Wednesday, as they revealed additional details, including a meeting between troubled officials and his parents just a few hours before bloodshed. No motive was offered by Oklahoma County authorities a day after violence at Oxford High School, roughly 30 miles, 50 kilometers, kilometers north of Detroit. But prosecutor Karen McDonald said the shooting was premeditated based on a mountain of digital evidence against Ethan Crumbley. So Ethan Crumbley is the one. So I'm going to read that paragraph and then I'm going to stop there. Crumbley was charged as an adult with 24 crimes, including murder, attempted murder, and terrorism causing death. During his arraignment, he replied, "Yes, I do." When asked if he understood the charges, defense attorney Scott Kozak entered a plea of not guilty. Now, there's a whole setup with this. Again, I'm not going to get further into it, but just knowing that I don't know the stats on how many, shootings and things have been going on this year prior to last year. I'm already just, again, logically putting it together that there's definitely a lot more happening this year prior to last year because we were in lockdown and we were on homeschooling and everything else. A lot of numbers for other different things went up, like depression, etc., all of that. So I'm gonna leave it here. But again, this article came from NPR. Headline was 15-year-old boy charged with murder, terrorism, in Michigan high school shooting. Boom. All right, y'all. Let's continue on. But let me see what y'all got in here. I don't understand why they're pushing a vaccine instead of a cure or treatment. Well, that is part of the treatment is to get the vaccine. Kundin, that's part of what it is. And vaccines were never meant to be a cure to anything. They are more so there to help lower the severity when it comes to experiencing the effects of a virus. It was never to cure it, but a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people weren't necessarily paying attention to all of those details. Oh yeah, Chinese, go do your thing. But yeah, there's a number of things in there, and I see the brother in there in blue saying, yeah, no money in that. Yeah, of course. Again, we could talk about the pharmaceutical companies and the whole intent behind that. Y'all can even go look this stuff up about Pfizer and them having a $4.3 billion lawsuit that they had to pay off. And you wonder why one of them are being here. You can even look it up and see videos of different news sections and places sponsored by Pfizer. So it's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff you can look into and just find evidence there. But let's continue. Next headline. Next article comes from NPR, and it reads, a Ghislaine Maxwell accuser says she was recruited and abused when she was just 14. So this is the case that Kundin was bringing up. So I'm going to just read a little bit, but I'm not going to get too far into it. We'll do 3 paragraphs, and then we out. All right, article reads, the jury in the federal sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell heard its first testimony Tuesday, including from a woman who says Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused her when she was a minor. Boom. Okay, see, now it's starting to get in mind. Now it's starting to make sense. Okay. Now I know who this is. All right. I didn't do a lot of prep before like that, y'all, but now I know what's going on. All right. A pilot who flew Jeffrey Epstein's private jets also took the stand on Tuesday, saying that over the years, his passengers included Maxwell's accuser as well as a rich and powerful guests, such as former presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, as well as Britain's Prince Andrew and the late Senator John Glenn. There's that whole list, Epstein's list, to go to Epstein's Island. Boom. Y'all can go look that up. I don't know the particular name, but it's just looking at Epstein's list or travel or log, and you'll see. Second part. The female accuser using the pseudonym, as a fake name, Jane, is the first of 4 women who are expected to speak in court about their allegations of sexual abuse. She told jurors she was just 14 years old when Maxwell and Epstein introduced themselves to her at an arts and music camp in Michigan. So, yes. Again, there's a lot, but this is just starting to heat up. But now I know what's going on. Okay, now this is making sense. I was figuring out it's an accuser, but I didn't know Ghislaine Maxwell until it hit my head, and they were together. So now I know you're like, okay, but I don't keep up with celebrities and folks like that, so it doesn't mix and doesn't hit me that quick. So now I know what's going on. But yeah, this is gonna be a hot case. We'll see what's going on. But again, y'all, don't dig so deep into this, and when I mean so deep, don't get caught up, because there's a lot of other things that will be happening also in the background. Yes, be aware that this case is happening in many other cases, but there's also other things going on in the background, so please stay aware. All right, I know I can't stress it enough. Now, on to the last article, but let me look at y'all what y'all got, and then we're going to finish out the news so we can get on to the last portions of this show for tonight. But appreciate y'all again for being here, being present, and also participating and giving your thoughts and feedback. Thank you so much. So let's see what else we got in this before I finish this last one. Saying this case is finna be deep. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's the Epstein case. You might want to go a little bit more on this one. Bruh, there's so much in there that I don't want to read through the whole article and stuff like that. That's why I read out the article names and titles for folks to go back and look for it so they can read more into it themselves. I like to give little bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. But it's just starting. So the testimonies just started Tuesday. That's mostly what you need to know, is that it just started. Shouts out to Sincerely Notes, the truth, peace and love. There we go, man. Good to see you up in here. What's the word? It said, yeah, Epstein case. Note that all sides are implicated here, both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Yes. Dang, it gets even deeper with the celebrities that get caught up. I'll expose that theories and always... Bruh, again, we do the divisiveness when it comes to these different phrases and stuff that's put into the world. So we come up with ways to disregard people from their perspectives because we have shaming tactics. Some folks might not like this name, but shouts out to Kevin Samuels. I like his acronym of sign language, and it just puts everything into perspective, which is shame, insult, guilt need to be right. And that's what goes on, especially in this individualistic, at least world we're in right now. Is everybody, if they're not right, they gotta shame folks so you can be on their side. They gotta insult you because you're not the smart as them or whatever it is. They guilt you into be like, why are you not on my side? And again, that needs to be right. Everybody wants to be on the right side. Nobody wants to be on the left, wrong, whatever side it may end up being. But yeah, bro, there's so much there. But to end out all these news reports, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you this video. And it was the one I talked about earlier, which also Cooney was talking about. Comes from CNN. And the headline reads, world's first living robots can now reproduce, scientists say. So I'm going to play at least the video for y'all. Yeah, we'll get to see a bit of it, and then we'll end out on the news unless anybody else has more news. So here we go, y'all. Let me flip it over, y'all. Do what we can, y'all. Show the range, y'all. So see, it says world's first living robots can now reproduce, scientists say. CNN. All right, let's go ahead. Let's make this big full screen for y'all. I'll do some type of it. Let's see. Boom. Says it can walk, swim, and survive for weeks without food. Scientists created xenobots by using stem cells from frog embryos. The living cells were scraped from the frog's embryos and then left to incubate. I'm narrating a bit for y'all. They were then cut open and reshaped in specific body forms. The cells then begin to work on their own. When a xenobot is sliced into, it automatically repairs itself. So it starts to do some self-repairing. Scientists say the xenobots can be used to carry medicine inside of human cells. They could also be used to clean up radioactive waste and collect microplastics in the oceans. So yeah, y'all. So that is all on, again, the news on these new type of robots, xenobots. See, I gotta figure out what that root word is. Xeno. Like, I know that we have xenophobe, like all of this stuff. There's xenoverses. There's a whole group of stuff. So I gotta look into that word xeno, or at least the root, what would that be? The prefix, because it's the first half of the word. So xeno. So I gotta look into that. But yeah, y'all. It's other tactics too that they've also found about frogs and tadpoles too, way back when it came to certain water supplies in areas having traces of estrogen like um estrogen like, you know, materials are it's just hard for me to think of it, but basically when you would drink this type of water, it showed that the frogs in those particular places were starting to produce more estrogen, especially if they were male frogs, and they started to try to mate with other male frogs. So I'm not surprised that they use animals for testing for a whole grip of stuff, and using this for frog cells and figuring all of this stuff out, man. Yeah, it is definitely mind blowing, and it kind of lets you know, like, yo, what is really going on. But just to give y'all a heads up, this is the new science and technology that they are still working on. I mean, that's why there's such things as also cloning processes. That's why we're able to clone a lot of different things. You know, I'm not gonna go deeper into that, but this is just a sign of that. We have that type of technology and the science to back it. But with that, y'all, that has all been the news reports. Appreciate y'all for sticking through with it. It was a bit longer, but I wanted to share. I had a lot of news. But again, if y'all have more, please throw them in the comments. I appreciate y'all's support as well as your time, as always. But let's read these comments, and then we're going to get into the second half of the show. So let's see what we got. So, it said you hear the related Nygaard trial. It's just wild. Nygaard was forcing his girlfriends to extract the fetus stem cells. Wow. No, I haven't. Dang. Yeah, that frog DNA. Yup. I mean, there's drag newts. There's a whole group of different like crosses of different species, y'all. It's just interesting. I mean, movies are more than just movies. They play they play a role into so many other stuff, man. It's just mind blowing. But let's see. Let me come to talk more about the living robots because I have more details as questions directly without the scientists of this. All right, it comes from the scientific name for a frog species that they're using. All right, for sure. R.I.P. Bernie Mac. Man, hey King, how are you at me? It still requires human intervention because they keep having to provide stem cells to get it to keep replicating. Interesting. Well, go ahead, jump in here, Kundin. Hold on real quick, Chinese. Not just yet. Hold on real quick. But go ahead here real quick, Kundin. I'll let you elaborate some more on it, and then let us move on to the next topics.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, Kundin? What's the word? Good to see you in here.
What's the word? I cleaned up my desk, so it's more clean now.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I spoke with the scientists this morning. I mean, I didn't speak directly. I put the questions in the Zoom chat, and then they answered my questions.
yeah,
But I got to listen directly from the horse's mouth, as they call it, which is, pretty rare when it comes to
yeah.
technology like this. So that was a great opportunity.
Mm.
Yeah.
Blue, I got what you mean. I actually don't remember the Bernie Mac comment, but please send it, or the please put it in there. But all right, continue, Kundin. Appreciate you.
Yeah, so the term xeno comes from the specific species of frogs that they're using. It's an acronym from not an acronym, but they use the first I think the first half of the is
Yeah.
xeno something, so they use that's why they're called xenobots.
Yeah.
And so I did post it in a Facebook group, and a lot of people were like either scared or concerned because they were reminded of like the Stargate replicators, uh, or even Skynet or the Borg.
Mm. The reason,
But
yeah. Well, continue. Wait, hold on. The reason why I say I know I need to look up Xeno, and I just did, is
mhm,
because I haven't seen I've seen this more often in other places that has that same prefix.
like
So I know
xenophobia and yeah,
all of this stuff.
yeah,
Like there's games
hmm
called Xenoverse and all of this thing. So I
hmm
actually have the these definitions here, but I'm gonna let you finish and I'll end with that.
yeah. So they of course they try to reassure us, since you would expect them to do so.
Yeah.
They were saying. Um, they were saying more on the technology side and also on the ethics side, right? On the
Yeah.
ethics side, they were saying it's made with a lot of institutional oversight and there's a lot of ethicists involved and etc. So whatever,
Yeah.
I guess you have to take their word for it or something. But on the technology side, they were saying it's more limited, at least for now, because first of all, it still requires
Mm,
human intervention. The scientists still have to keep providing with the stem cells for it
yes.
to reproduce.
Mm,
Uh, and so in the wild, if it escaped in the wild, that they don't have these stem cells, so it could die in about a week or two. At least that's what they say if it ever escaped.
gotcha.
Uh, and the other thing they were saying is that this type of reproduction doesn't exist in nature at all. So it's the world's first. So it's a human made. Even the nature of the reproduction, not only is it the first living robots, even
Yes.
the way they're replicating doesn't exist in nature. It's unique the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
So and and they also clarified that the the so-called robots are not directly controlled by the AI. So
Yeah.
where the AI comes in is that
What's up,
in order
Dallas? Good
to
to see
come
you
up
in
with
here,
the
brother.
ideal shape to
Mm,
create these robots, they're simulated inside the AI first
yes.
because it's speeded up. The modeling is speeded up a billion times. They can create like a billion, different shapes per second or per minute because AI is very fast, right? So it's
Yes.
just made for the modeling. And
Mm,
then through that modeling, they came up with that Pac-Man shape that they're talking about.
okay.
That is the most ideal for it to replicate. And so, because the AI told them to make that shape, the scientists invented that shape. And the moment they started
Mm,
doing that, unexpectedly or expectedly, I guess, since the AI predicted it, the
mm,
xenobots started, gathering all of the stem cells from the frogs and then putting it into their so-called mouth, and
yes.
then using basically an assembly line approach to reproduction, which doesn't exist in nature because in nature it's either sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. That's like a specific ways that they do. Often
Yeah.
in nature, it's more like the organism inserts their DNA into a larger organism, and from inside it reproduces, right? That's
Mm,
but this time they don't do that. They're just gathering materials and just assembling and then making the assembly just like that, right?
yes.
And
Hmm.
another point that they made is that it's not intelligence in the sense that it's just a group of cells. It's not connected to any sensory cells, it's not connected to neuronal cells. So it doesn't even have the intelligence of a frog, even though it's made from frog cells,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
However, that's going to be their next step. That's going to be their next paper, in fact.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm concerned about. Because even though they're reassuring us that the technology is very limited for now,
Yeah.
they're already thinking about the next steps. So that's what I learned from them today. Like,
But again, just to have that be the first, steps already towards, exactly, Blue. It's a prototype. Exactly. Like,
it's a problem that, yeah,
man, there's so much that can be done. Again, we talk about the intention, so we'll see what is truly, their intention behind a lot of this. But yeah, even though they
of
say what they
course,
say, again,
yeah.
don't forget, money talks, y'all. So
Of course, they're talking about, their uses, like you read in the news article, the exciting news. They're
yeah,
excited about the ways it can be used. They're also excited about being able to learn about reproduction in a way that they haven't been able to because so far they've only learned via observation of nature. But
yeah,
to actually learn by doing and creating, right,
yeah,
is another level of learning. Like when I wanted to learn about the blockchain and cryptocurrency, I watched a lot of videos, but
yeah.
finally I decided to take a Udemy course on
Hmm.
programming a blockchain. And I
Yeah.
programmed my first blockchain, and I was so proud of myself. And I was like, that was a whole new way of actually learning when I actually created it myself.
Yes.
So they're excited for those reasons. So I'm just bringing it up because I wanted to present their side too. but I also understand why so many people are concerned that because every science fiction movie and novel is like this doesn't go well, you know.
Exactly, but it's hard nowadays to give benefit of doubt for a lot of things, but
Hmm.
again, it's good to have not just only our side of either us feeling, frustrated, confused, or just hesitant, but also the side of the scientists creating and went through
Hmm.
that process and knowing all of that stuff. I mean, those are very same similar things, of course, with going on with the coronavirus and all these different types of vaccines. I got to speak on all the different types, but to end this, y'all, because I want to move to the next topic, so this don't become a 3-hour show. Um, I looked up Xeno, and I got it from dictionary.com as well as the free dictionary. I love these ones.
Hmm.
And here is what they mean. So from the dictionary.com, the definition says a combining form, which is basically always like a part of the word,
Hmm.
meaning alien, strange, guest, used in the formation of compound words. So by
Hmm.
itself, xeno meaning alien, strange, or guest. That's from one source of a definition. The second one ends up saying, it says combination, again, it's a combination form, and it says strange, consisting of foreign material, parasitic, as well as, again, it says strange, foreign material, a parasite. So a lot of this is alien, strange, and foreign. When you see
Hmm.
when y'all see Xeno, when I mean Xeno, XENO in front of a word, it denotes something that's either foreign, strange, it can be alien, or it might have the potential of something parasitic.
Hmm.
So that's just me. I like breaking words down because there's so much more deeper within just a phrasing, but also just down to even parts of a word. But yeah, y'all, we're gonna leave that there before we get any more craziness into that. But with that, y'all, and I appreciate you coming on, Kundin, as always. And
Hmm.
disclaimer to any of those here, we're moving to the next topic, which we're going to be talking about balance. But before we talk
Hmm.
about it, I want to let those who are in here, if you do want to join, just know that this does get uploaded to YouTube as well as on Instagram later. So if you're not comfortable with being on cam and this being out all over the place, you're more welcome to stay in the comments. But if you want to, you can come in and join us in conversation and talks around these topics. Now, with that disclaimer out of the way, next topic we're getting into is a topic of balance, y'all. And I love how literally every time I get into a topic, I have a song that either is playing the word or it's talking about what is
Hmm.
it's very, very synchronistic. Very synchronistic. But before we even get into that, I got the definition for balance, and then so at least we'll know where we're going with it. But if y'all have anything, when y'all first hear the word balance, what are the first things that come to mind? Please throw them down in the comments. Whatever you hear, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word balance? Now, as y'all are doing that, I'm going to read a few definitions and we will keep it at that. So, first one, essential meaning of balance is what they have here. And I'm getting this, if y'all want to know, this is from the Webster's Dictionary. You want to look up balance, I got this one from the Webster's Dictionary. There's so many other ones, but we'll stick with Webster's for now. It says essential meaning of balance. The first definition, the state of having your weight spread equally so that you do not fall. Second one, the ability to move or to remain in position without losing control or falling. Third one, a state in which different things occur in equal or proper amounts or have equal or proper amounts of importance. Another one, and I'll do two more because there's so many definitions for balance. Another one, physical equilibrium. We speak about that. The ability to retain one's balance, stability, um, equipoise or equal pose. But I like to say equipoise. between contrasting, opposing, or interacting elements. That can mean, for example, they have here the balance we strike between security and freedom. And then the last one I'm gonna put an aesthetically pleasing integration of elements. So achieving balance in a work of art. So
Can you
there's a
look up
lot.
harmony too?
Want me to look up harmony?
Yeah, because I have something to say about
All right,
the
I will look up
difference.
harmony
Yeah.
as well. And as we did that there, got said Libra scale, balance, yes. For those who are about their astrology and their zodiacs. And then give, take, and sacrifice. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's all about the wholeness when it comes to me when I think of balance. But just for you, Kundin, we got harmony. Essential meaning for harmony: the combination of different musical notes played or sung at the same time to produce a pleasing sound. We already, in that particular case, music. A pleasing combination of arrangements of different things. Other ones, the science of structure, relation, or progression of chords. So a lot of this having to do with music. Pleasing arrangement of parts. So congruence, agreed, agreement, accord, inner calm, tranquility, and interweaving of different accounts in a single narrative, and a systematic arrangement of parallel literary passages as of the Gospels for the purpose of showing agreement or the word itself harmony. But that's at least the definitions
Mm,
there for harmony. So what you got on
yeah.
this, since we're going to jump right into it. And again, y'all are more than welcome to join.
The reason why I wanted you to look it up is because for years I've thought about how the difference between balance and harmony, and I've always, at least for the last few years, I preferred harmony because I saw balance as like a scale. And in fact, if you just do a random, Google image search for balance, you'll see a picture of a scale,
Mm-hmm.
two scales. So that means it seems like a binary and there's only two elements, uh, and then both are exactly equal, right? And whereas in music, when people play a symphony orchestra, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Not everything is equal all the time, and if they
Yeah.
were, it would sound really horrible, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
And in fact, it's almost like the opposite of balance in the sense that some musicians are playing more loudly or more intensely, while some might even be totally quiet. But there is
Yes.
an overall harmony, right? Like a progression,
Yeah.
right? That happens.
Yes.
Um, However, you can integrate the two perspectives, I feel, rather than see them as opposites. I mean,
Yes.
balance and harmony. If
Mm-hmm.
you see balance as not a static thing, but just like harmony, a constantly moving thing, that in reality,
Yes.
in order for you to be truly balanced, that instead of a scale, it's more like riding a bicycle, where you have to keep moving in order for you to not fall off,
Mm-hmm.
for you to have that balance.
And I feel that because honestly,
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I do
Mm,
personally, and this is because again, I like breaking words down. For those who don't know me, I'm A.D.V.I.S.S. I'm an artist. I love breaking words down. So when I see specific words within words, which is anagrams,
mm,
I look deeper into the words. So I necessarily don't use the word harmony a lot because of the fact that I see the word harm in it. But there's a number of more things. Again, there's a number of things, but around it, I agree on the content and the context of what it means,
mm,
and what that brings. Because again, balance in itself to me is just it's the concept of being grounded
yeah.
within not only just yourself, but the connection of course just your body. But
Mm,
see, that's not only just being there, just being grounded. The other aspect of comes along with balance is learning how to connect with
mm,
the space and stuff around you, which you can use the word harmony for that. You can use, connection. You can use what coexist, all these different words. But I agree with you when it comes to balance. Honestly, it's just that set structure. It's the
mm,
foundation. But what you add on top of that balance is what helps to keep it either,
mm,
equated or equal, but you learn more wherever you end up going, that you're able to balance and keep yourself at peace depending on
mm,
any situation that you get yourself into. So you're able to coexist. You're able to add different harmonies and different mixes of energies,
mm,
frequencies, vibrations, people, places, all of these stuff, and still be able to keep yourself balanced.
mm,
Ultimately, so it is not just is to me when I see balance, and I know we already got into it, and we can continue more with it. Is
mm,
balance is that framework, and once you're able to create that framework of balance, you know where to at least begin. Now, to add to that
mm,
balance is where you go about looking for everything else that's outside of you. You learn, okay, how do I balance reading and going out? So like, I mean, the whole idea of balance is like, I'm already here, I'm good, I'm set, all right, I'm at my optimal. Now what's going to help me to achieve these actions of either reading and writing? So being harmony is the action, balance being more the structure. But again,
mm,
I use a different word, but it is all comes to the same, or if you're on that path looking for that same result. Let's see. We got in here, balance is about self, no one else, everything else. Mm, definitely,
interesting.
definitely. I mean, I agree to the
Yeah.
point that balance is about self, because you got to get yourself in check. That's why you have
Mm,
songs better chickadee check yourself before you wreck yourself. All of these whole like, there's a reason why we have so many wise sayings. Again, I say it all the time, but there's reasons why we have phrases for certain things in life. If you start pinpointing them and putting them together, you'll start getting all these other keys and these other ways
yeah.
that you can be
Yeah.
living life. To me, that's one of the cheat codes. Shout outs to Blue
Yeah.
on his song
Yeah.
Codes, but those are one of the cheat codes, is what I'm telling y'all right now. If you really want to start learning more about just life and the experience of life, go look up wise sayings. Go look up adages. Go look up proverbs. Not only just English, but also Chinese, African, all over the place. And look at these wise sayings and figure out,
Mm,
okay, where does these wise sayings really speaking about? What are they trying to tell us? Go pinpoint it to something that's
yeah.
in life, and then you're gonna be like, oh, so that's it. Boom, you got yourself a key.
Yeah, a good example is this might sound a bit gross, but it's biology. So, uh,
Warning,
when somebody's
warning.
so when somebody's arrogant or very proud, like we use the phrase "this person has a stick up their butt," right?
Yeah,
Or we say with their tight ass or tight anus, right?
yeah.
So I learned recently that this has an actual basis in biology because did you know that your butthole has two sphincters or two valves? Not one,
Interesting.
two. It's double layers. The
Mm,
reason is that we don't want any accidents. so so one is voluntary, the outer one is voluntary, and the inner one is involuntary, which
mm,
means that so that accidents don't happen. So even if you open up the outer one on purpose, right? The inner one will remain closed so the shit doesn't come out. However, that means because the inner one is involuntary, when your breathing is tight or when you feel tight or when you feel, in this case, arrogant or whatever, your whole body's tense because you're like in this fight mode all the time with people, right?
mm.
That's where the phrase comes in. Then that sphincter gets too tight because on its own,
Yeah,
because your whole body itself is tight,
yeah.
and so you cannot control uh, how tight it is directly, but indirectly using breathing techniques like breathing deeply and allowing your whole body to relax. That sphincter itself relaxes a little bit more. It won't
Mm,
open up it totally because it's not supposed to, but it won't be like more tight than necessary. So that's where
mm.
the phrase comes from because you really do have two sphincters.
Boom. And you made me think of the other one. with the word assume.
What?
The word assume, and what people say when it comes to the saying around assume, you make an
Oh,
ass out of
assume.
you and me.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you start to just think, okay, this might be the right thing or that might be that, and you end up making yourself look bad and the other person look bad. But then from your
Hmm.
example, if it's those two different areas, it's still, I mean, I'm like
Yeah.
connecting all of that together. But again,
Hmm.
it shows y'all that if you can find, if I'm giving y'all a key, I got the key and I've been holding on to it. Again, look at these wise sayings, look them up, whether if it's in the Bible for Proverbs, whether if it is in the Tao, whether it's in any other type of, not just only religious, but just groups that books that are within your culture or other cultures, and you study and you look at those phrases, you'll learn more and more parts into this life and this experience. I
Hmm.
guarantee you. That's why we have
Yeah.
people that say these things. That's why we have phrases. That's why we have different sayings, like why sayings people quote, is because of the fact that these are keys. Pay attention. Right. Balance. We already got a
Yeah.
bit into it already, but go ahead.
Another thing I want to say about balance is that I learned this from practicing a modality invented by a Dutch guy named it's called Uzazu, and it turns out he did appropriate a lot some of the stuff from the I Ching and stuff. But I did
Mm,
learn one important lesson from it, which is because the modality is based on using specific movements with the sound
yeah.
to embody a specific set of opposite ways of being. And he documented 16 opposite ways of being, for example, uh, being open versus being closed, right? Uh, simple, all having a boundary, right? And when you do the actual movements, you find with the sound, you find that most people, they don't know what is their, not only do they not know what is their true balance, they don't even know
Okay.
what is their true extremes because
Mm,
they've never allowed themselves to fully experience those extremes.
yeah.
You know, especially the extreme that they have discomfort around it, or right, or trauma around it. So therefore, in Uzazu, before we even get into the balance, you're like asked to gently, as much as you can, uh, lean into your edge and actually embody first the extreme in this example, the extreme of being open, right?
Mm,
And take it all the way to the extreme. And
mm,
then the extreme of being closed, really take it all the way to the extreme. And only after you truly embody the extremes, then you're asked to get into the balance of like where having a proper boundary but not
mm-hmm,
being walled off. So that you're open, but you still have boundaries without walls.
mm,
And but most people can't even get that immediately because they don't even know the extremes, let alone the balance. So I wanted to
yeah.
point that out first too. Like,
Because again, we come back to the word boundaries too. People are not, haven't took the time to test those boundaries and figure out, what's too
hmm.
up for them, what's too down. Again, another word will be
Exactly.
threshold.
Yeah.
So they're not. I'm not saying I have. I mean, there's probably stuff that I still haven't, set boundaries
Mm.
for myself. But again,
Yeah.
that's where, well, the easy way, like you said, it is learning the openness versus the closeness, depending
Hmm.
on what is subject or whatever you are
Right. Yeah.
experiencing. So then you can fully know, okay, these are my reasons. I don't like to
Hmm.
always say conversations. I don't like to always necessarily say debates, but it gives you your reasons now to why you have the perspectives, or do you choose the decisions and the things you say
Hmm.
versus, oh, I just don't like it, or oh, it
Right.
just doesn't make any sense to me, or no, this is still the wrong thing. How do you know if it's the wrong thing, the right thing? These, quote unquote, again, we talk about the, dichotomies, these, double binaries of stuff
Right.
without
Or like other
exploring.
like other extremes or other opposites, right? Like being working too hard versus working too little,
Yeah,
being too clingy versus being too independent,
yeah,
right? And so if somebody is more on the too independent side,
yeah.
they cannot get into balance without first experiencing what it's like to be too clingy, right?
Mm,
And vice versa. If somebody's too clingy, they cannot really get into that center
yeah.
without allowing themselves to swing the other way into the two independent. And the beauty of some modality like Uzazu and even similar modalities like the Tai Chi and all of the I Ching and all that is uh, you get to embody these things within the safety of just doing these movements, without going into real life,
Hmm.
almost like a simulation within your own body. You know, that's the beauty of doing these kinds of practices.
Thank you for adding that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Again, y'all, there's so much information, there's so much wisdom and knowledge
Mm.
that's out there. So for any questions that y'all may even be having and asking of yourself right now, as much as we don't fully, shouldn't say not trust, but don't want to always rely on. I mean, Google's there for you to go look things up and figure a lot of this stuff out, because there is questions on a daily that are being asked, and there are a multitude of answers out there. Yes, you might come across some places that don't look like it makes sense, but again, gravitate towards it and just again put that into practice. That's what at least I go from when it comes to, and I know I'm sideways a little bit to balance, but it's still in its confines to talk about
Mm.
balance, is the whole talk about knowledge versus wisdom. For me,
Mm.
you can have all this information, but if you don't apply it or use it, it does not become wisdom. That's what we talk
Mm.
about when you have experiential or have this type of experience, anecdotal experience. We call that wisdom versus just saying, oh, I have knowledge on the subject. So
Mm.
find information, use it, and if it works, it works. But go ahead.
Have you seen that diagram? I don't know if I've showed it to you before. The diagram of uh, they're almost like it's almost like a scale, right? Their knowledge, uh, data, knowledge, insight, and wisdom, the difference between the two. Uh,
Mm.
there's a really beautiful diagram where they show it via the analogy of dots, right?
Okay.
Where data is just a bunch of dots, right?
Yeah.
And knowledge is when you connect the dots, right?
Okay. I
And
see where you're
then
going. Okay.
and then insight is the nodes that when you light up, the little nodes as the insights. Wisdom is knowing which of those connections are actually valuable and applicable in this moment, like the lines, which
Mm.
lines. And like you said, you can only do it from experience, from applying it over and over in different contexts, and then you get wisdom from the experience, right?
You get the full picture or the
You
whole
get the full
picture.
picture. Yeah.
That's pretty tight. I might have to. You might, if you find that, send it to me. I know you're always sending me stuff, and I do appreciate you when you do send things for me to share with me. If I get through all of it, if even if I don't, I do still
Hmm.
appreciate. Oh
Yeah.
man, but that, yeah, I definitely want to look into that and see that there. Now let's jump back in again. But this all just ties back in still to balance. Is figuring out coordinated where what works
And
for
even
you.
the next topic, right, which is what I just talked about, the levels. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I do it on purpose, but I'll do that spill
Yeah.
when we get there. Now let's talk about. I want to talk about specifically um, imbalance,
Mm.
not imbalance, but within the word balance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I always do, we talk about the pros and we talk about the cons because again, I like to challenge and sometimes break down words that we already think is inherently quote unquote, you know, good from what we know versus quote unquote might be bad, whatever. Again, we
Mm-hmm.
said quote unquote, we just using it just for reference. But what are some pros to the concept of balance?
Mm. The pro.
Mm-hmm. And this could be in any
The pro is
situation.
just, I guess just peace and wholeness, coexisting with other people, and in fact, even harmony,
Mm-hmm.
can be a pro. Uh, Stability, But even the definitions of balance is kind of the pro as well. Like they mentioned in here equipoise
Mm-hmm.
between contrasting, opposing, or interacting elements, stability,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and aesthetically pleasing integration of elements. So that's beauty, right? So beauty would be another pro.
Yes.
Uh, or even in accounting, that's interesting. You actually have to
Uh-huh.
balance your
Mm-hmm.
checkbook.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so you can even be financially literate if you try to aim for balance, being
Mm-hmm.
financially stable as well. Uh,
Again.
mental and emotional steadiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
it brings
So
all those
basically, I'm just reading
elements.
the definitions, but those are the
Mm-hmm.
pros too. It's interesting. Yeah,
it it literally puts everything not only into
yeah.
perspective, but it's able to give it to you where you get not like have your cake and eat it too, but get close to that of knowing like, yo, this is that side and that side, and either way that I balance on this particular day to this day, that I understand or I understand that for me to feel the whole, I can feel that part and this part is still be okay.
There's even one interesting definition here that
What's up,
at first
Giselle?
I thought was a con, but it can also be a pro because a means of judging or deciding.
Yes.
Uh, because the truth is, people try to demonize, judging and be like, oh, don't judge. But the
Mm-hmm.
truth is, we make judgment calls all the time, and that's how
Yeah.
we survive, right?
Yeah.
So, if balance is a means of judging or deciding, the example they give here is the balance of a free election, for example,
Yeah.
right? Then aiming for balance can literally help you be better at decision making, which is essential to
Yes.
all of living, life.
What's the word? How you doing, Giselle? Um,
What's up, Giselle?
with saying that too, it gets me also to again the English language, y'all. When it comes to words, phrases, understanding all of that stuff, it all plays to the point of you know why in particular we say and do the things that we do, and we have our perspectives on the words. Like, yeah, we think of the word judging, but we have judges. We have
Hmm.
literally when we come and making judgment calls, it doesn't necessarily mean as in the fact of saying that someone is better than the other person or they're terrible than the other person,
Hmm.
but again, we have to be mindful of how the words are being used. That's why I wanted to
Hmm.
break down at least balance and talk about it from the pros and cons, because right now it's showing a lot of pros, but I got at least one
Hmm.
con in my mind for when it comes to balance. But what's
Hmm.
going on, brother? Good to see you up in here, brother Dallas in the building. How you doing, brother? What's
Hey,
the
What's
word?
up, Dallas?
hey, what's going on with y'all?
We chilling, man. We talking about balance in particular. We was going over some pros and cons. Kundi was going down the line of a lot of the pros from definitions he was reading, and I wanted to challenge and put a con out there to balance, which I know it can get people shaking their head like, "Wait, what?" But I got to, we got to challenge it. But did you have a thought on balance before I go with a con?
um, what in particular to what though?
You can add anything in your experience. We were talking about earlier balance in the aspect of being able to also be open and also closed, so then we know the boundaries and the extremes to where we can go with it. And I talked about balance being more of the structure that you have. You always see the scales. I mean, shout out to Just Blue. He was also saying the Libra scales. You see the scales, but you see, for me, balance ends up being that structure and that foundation for you. Now, harmony and all the other things outside of you is how you learn to use the action of that balance to figure out how to exist with everything. So balance being the structure, but everything else outside of that, whether if it's harmony, whether it's connection, those are the actions. And from those actions, will you be able to still keep your structure?
That's actually that's actually an interesting point. I want to say because I was having a conversation with my team tonight. Oh,
Mm,
shout out to him. You said he a
yeah.
Libra.
Rubber
Shout out to
Ducky Russ in the building. What's good, my G?
But
What's the word?
but like it's funny that you ended your statement of throughout those things that happen, where we like to maintain balance, can we keep destruction?
Yeah.
Because that was something that I was talking with the team about tonight. Like, you know, like understanding like what's to come and things like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
us also being as prepared. I think preparation is key to any balance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be things that throw you off. It's gonna be things that you know about that you might not know about. But just preparation to be unprepared
Yeah.
helps with that a lot. But that's all I'm gonna say on that.
And they have a, and I'm just to piggyback off of you. They have a saying, and again, y'all, I'm telling y'all, these are one of the keys in life. If you learn these wise sayings and you break them down, you'll have keys to this experience. That's why they have a saying that says what proper preparation prevents poor performance. All those P's. There's a saying. Is that's what it goes. If y'all look it up, you can put it in. So it's
Preparation.
preparing, proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Mm.
Y'all can look that up. And then again, you just already explained it. So it's being able to come into a situation, there might be some variables that you weren't ready for, but at least you properly prepared of at least what you were going to do. So that even if something just comes and just knocks all your plans out of order, you still had the structure and okay, I can still kind of maneuver here and there from that. So you want to always make sure you have yourself prepared on stuff. Even if you're trying to freestyle some things too. I mean, even that in yourself, you prepare yourself to freestyle, you be good to go. But again, balance being the structure and all other things outside of that being those actions, whether to improve the balance, help to keep in balance, or maybe throw you off balance. It's all depending on how you use that structure.
Mhm.
Mm.
But yeah, did you have anything else? 'Cause I mean, we're gonna continue with balance, but I was gonna throw out the con here, which again, it could kind of be like what, but yeah.
Yeah,
No,
when you
no.
say con, I think about Thanos, you know,
Mm,
with the balance. He
yes.
destroyed half the universe because he wanted balance. And it's funny because he had an extremist view of balance. So it's like,
Yes.
oh, can you have an extremist view of balance? That's an
Yes.
ironic thing, you know, it's irony. Like,
I mean, that's exactly what I was going to end up getting to. That's what I was going to get up into. Is literally that will be the con. Is it depends on your intention and your perception of what balance is to you,
hmm
depending on your character. Because like
hmm
you said, for Thanos, literally his extreme side of balance is destroy the universe and start over. Like this whole take. I mean, a serial killer's idea of balance would be shoot. I need to go out and take some more people out just so I can feel at ease. Because now I don't have
hmm
that feel of needing to, take more people out of this life, as well as
hmm
those who commit different crimes, as well as folks who have, different neurological, imbalances. Imbalances is crazy. That for you to be balanced from your imbalance, you do that imbalancing thing, which is interesting. So for me, that I was going to say that's one of the cons is depending on your idea of what balance is
You
and taking
remember?
it to the extreme. But bro, that's why you don't chew right before you about to talk. Balance that out. I'm just playing.
Hey, you remember? Do you remember when I don't
What's
know.
going on, Kim? Good to see you in here.
Oh, I can't see nothing. Hold on. All right. Oh, Sam! Sam! Damn! I ain't seen my boys in here.
Oh,
Yo!
same, yeah.
But um,
Emily's
what's the
here
call
too.
it? You remember that conversation that we had where it was like I was speaking about because you said um about like different perceptions of what the balance is, right?
Yeah.
But I had said that I believe that there is no right or wrong, but the
Mm-hmm.
world, I feel like the world try to get people to go left and right. But what
Mm-hmm.
if the answer was just forward? You know, it was just progression. That's
Of
my
course.
dog. Yo.
No, but and that's a
But
no. That's a great look.
but
That's a great look on that.
but
I'm gonna let you continue. Go ahead.
but because of the way that I think about that, because I say, yo, who's to say that anybody that that we deem successful, wealthy, that way is the way that we supposed to be living. What if we
Yeah,
were supposed to be living like that and live, just so I always challenge that perspective as far as I don't like to say right or wrong, and
yeah,
I think that's why I feel that my balance and my peace is so. I just feel more at peace because I don't try to go left. I don't try to go right. I just go forward, progression. I believe we make wise decisions based off of the knowledge that we attain. You know, the more knowledge that we attain, we should be able to make more wiser decisions. That's all
yeah.
it is too.
I feel, brother. I feel that, and shouts out to Sam. I've heard that saying before too, and I keep
Don't
on
get me
bringing it
wrong.
back up, y'all. There's a reason why. There's a reason why we say these wise sayings and words
Mhm.
to situations. It's because they have some validity. If not, there's a lot of truth to it. And if you use those wise sayings and you find where that truth comes from and you apply it, oh man, you got a key to this experience that somebody else may not be aware of. So please
Mhm.
keep digging into those. And then on top of what you were saying, Dallas, um, again, we've been taught that what we see, what we hear, and what we know is very two-sided,
Mm.
like a coin. There's a such thing as a two-sided coin. We talk about it all the time. Of course, we know it's a two-sided coin, but there's a song I'm thinking of when I think of two-sided coin. But the thing that people miss out about when it comes to the two-sided coin is that there's other dimensions of that coin that we're not taking into consideration, as well as when you have a two-sided coin, it's still just one thing. You get to see those two sides, but then there's other variables that are along with that coin. The person who throws it, how high it goes. That's why we have up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west, northwest, south. We have all different types of directions. The compass is showing you that it's just not only one way that you can end up going. If you pick a straightforward, yes, that's one option to take for sure. But we're breaking, which we have to do when we get older, is we start to learn to break a lot of these, program situations, and we start to learn that there is more to life than just the way that we learn to
That they
live.
that right that they want us to believe, and it's funny
Yeah.
because that's a part of the
360. That's right, Sam.
that's that's a part of the balance. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought about another con, but this con, I think it's more from an incorrect view of balance, right?
Yeah.
So if you see balance as everything exactly the same all the time,
Yeah.
then it's not always, and if you try to live up to that, it's not always going to be optimal for you in specific context. Like
Mm,
the example I gave with the symphony orchestra, right?
yeah.
And that's why I said in that case, harmony works better. But also even in life in general, like when a group of people are talking with each other, like we're
Yeah.
talking right now, right?
Wait,
If
hold on, Kunde.
everybody
Hold on,
was
Kunde. Hold
talking
on,
in,
Kunde. Hold on, Kunde. Dallas, I think your phone is giving a bit of feedback back and forth. So I don't know how you can fix that, but
oh
there's
yeah,
a bit of
yeah,
feedback coming back and forth. So I don't know if you want to exit out and come back in, but I'm
What you
starting to
mean?
hear it.
What you mean a feedback?
As in, I can hear Kundin a little bit when he's speaking on your side of the
like
phone.
an echo, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of an echo.
How y'all know it's me?
Because us two has been in here for a long while and we haven't heard that. So get yourself up out of here. That's easy observation. But come back so we can see if it fixes. Yeah. Sorry, go
That's
ahead,
funny
Kundin.
because I was just talking about that. About everybody being noisy all the time, then it will be chaos, a cacophony,
Yeah.
which is why, sometimes, or even with the music, right? When you have the music in the background, when it's too
Yes.
loud,
Yes.
uh, right? Then,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was even the same, not too loud, but if the music and you were the same,
Yeah.
then it would also be chaos, right?
It's still
So the
echo.
music has,
Like it's
yeah,
good
got
or
it.
it's bad.
Yeah,
Right now sounds okay. We're good for right now, but if it does, I'll
yeah,
let you know. But go
yeah.
ahead, Kuhn, and continue. Sorry.
So, which is why sometimes some people have to be silent while others are speaking, right?
Yes.
But if we see balance as not a static thing, but not a destination, but a journey, a constantly moving, evolving journey where, you
Yeah.
know, there is as an average over time rather than one fixed thing where on the average everything might be equal or the same, where there's a balance on average over time.
Yeah.
So to see it as more of not a fixed destination, but this constantly changing journey,
Yes.
then the con becomes a pro. Right?
Yep, that is very
Yeah.
true. I think Dallas, just in case too, maybe pick up the phone and put it. I don't know, have it stationed somewhere because it might be echoing from the bottom. I'm being serious now. I can hear it, but I want to
Gang,
add.
I'm
I'm
not gonna
serious.
play with
My
you,
look it is. I know what's gonna happen in the playback, man. I know what the comments I'm gonna get on the playback is like. Yo, man, hey, I keep hearing the feet, bro. I know it already. That's why again, balance. Look at we laughing, but this is all playing into itself together.
Hmm.
But to
I
add
was
to your
just
point,
talking about
Nah,
this.
but
Yeah.
look,
yeah,
but look, I'm gonna let y'all rock though because like I gotta I got some moves to make real quick.
Mm,
yeah,
I def I wanted to tap in support, see how y'all was doing. You feel me? Show love.
mm,
The brothers,
yeah,
my boy. You know, always that's the balance of the world. You know, we
yeah,
was
mhm,
down, but now we coming up. You know, so we figuring it out. You know, and shout out to everybody on here. Stay prayed up for real.
yeah,
And y'all can get anything in this world. Y'all can figure out a lot more too by tuning more with yourself and being selfless. You
yeah.
know.
mm,
And look at y'all again. The other key thing I want to say for balance, and then definitely let you out, brother, is don't forget about the other side too. We talk about
mm,
positivity all day and we talk about doing good and doing all the other stuff, but don't forget about your past former self that didn't necessarily know about the positivity, that was on that other side doing the things maybe they shouldn't have been doing. So don't deny that. Know that that's also a part of what creates the
mm.
balance. So I'm glad we on that move of also positivity. But shoot, don't forget, you kind of used to be that annoying, negative, Nancy, whoever that person you
Mhm.
ended up saying in the past who was doing things that they should have been doing.
That's
But
why
it's
we have the
okay.
term toxic positivity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's terms, there's sayings for everything, y'all. Okay. And I mean, as much as I like to always keep it in a very, intellectual and deep thing, like it's okay. You be as vulgar as you want. You can say whatever you want to end up doing. But at the end of the day, you just know that that's just is a part of the game. Is a part of balance. I know that. I can say and do whatever I want, but I choose. It's my intention to choose
Mhm,
to do one side because I know about the other side. But don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
But yeah,
I was
look,
gonna say,
look like he's about to say something.
hey, look, gang, you already know.
Of course.
Nah, but I was gonna say that's similar to when you say don't forget the page. Remember, when I say don't worry, you could be aware, but
Mm-hmm.
but don't worry. Like you know, aware of where you came from, aware of the things that you might have been through,
Yeah.
and others have been through, and where they come from. But don't let it worry you. Meaning, don't
Mm-hmm.
let it be so much of a thought on the frontal or the sub.
Yeah.
It affects what you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
then at that point you become inefficient to the mission that you set out on.
Yeah. Again, the whole idea of fear and the acronym of fear, which is false evidence appearing real. But some of this evidence that you have is of what you've done in the past, but you are using it to try to figure out something that could happen in the future, but it hasn't happened yet. So when you put yourself in certain mindsets in certain places, you are starting to create those results for yourself. So you don't know if you're gonna walk outside and somebody might come up to you out of nowhere and just smack you. But if you've had a history, and I'm sorry, I'm talking about it in a violent way or whatever, but if you
Talk
had a
your stuff,
history
man.
of having, bad situations with random people, that's already gonna be on your mind all the time. Is when I'm walking outside now, I gotta watch because somebody might come up and just, smack me in the
It's,
face when
it's,
that's
the, it's,
not the
the,
case.
it's the principle of even what I've been teaching some people on my team about um, manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I've been telling everybody, I said, if you think something bad is gonna happen and you wanna, but you say that you don't want that thing to happen, but you want to keep worrying about it and you want to keep thinking about it. When it happens, you can't be really surprised. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, like it's gonna be something that you should expect. I like to, I like to be, that's why I say I like to be aware. That was actually something that was taught to me a couple months ago. About actually a few months back about not worrying and being aware. But that's something I've been working on. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
because I've been seeing like when I haven't been worrying and as
Yeah.
I just trust within the source, which is the connection that we have with God and that other that source of energy. As
Mm-hmm.
I sit back, I'm like, yo, I don't really have much to worry about. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
I just paid off my spot where I'm at. You feel me? Like
Mm-hmm.
in advance. You feel me? But it's like that was things that people would want to do right now. You feel me?
Yeah.
But you got to stop worrying. You got to just really believe that and walk in those steps. Like I said, be selfless. A lot of people that I see, especially coming to California, a lot of people, like, no knocking the good people out here, but a
Yeah.
lot of people are selfish. I see that. Y'all call it the Hollywood lifestyle, whatever. But yeah, it's selfish, and not everybody within the industry is selfish, but I see a lot of people become selfish, and I'm like, you don't figure everything out by being that way.
Mm-mm.
You actually, I think that you limit yourself. You know, I want to hear great ideas. I want to hear great challenges, disagreements. Because I feel
Mm.
like that's how we grow. You know, if we don't ever challenge the what ifs and the what ain't, you're not really learning. I don't think you're pushing yourself to learn. Remember, you want more knowledge so you can make a wiser decision. But if we're not pushing ourselves to really learn, are we really making the wisest decisions that we could be making?
Mm. And I'm so glad you said that, brother, because I'm not going to say it, but you just gave me another topic idea for a future episode. So I appreciate you for that. I'm not
Yeah,
going to say it now because I don't want us to start talking about it. We're going to save it for a later episode.
yeah.
But
Write it
appreciate
down,
it.
gang.
Oh, it's already right here, bro. Because right when you said what you said, I already locked it in here. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm going to write it down, of course. Um, but
I'm
continuing off of that, if you got to head out, my G,
No,
appreciate you.
I'm about to say I'm gonna let y'all ride, man. But I do appreciate y'all showing love in the comments and all that. I saw y'all throwing the hearts up there. But yeah,
Yes.
everybody got some dope points about this. All of us,
Yes.
we got some pretty dope points and that we shared. And if y'all, one thing I'm gonna say is, and it's something that I always tell my team, I say everything is connected. Like, so if y'all notice the things that CJ said, that my man said,
They
you
don't
know,
know who CJ is, bro.
oh my bad. If y'all
To A.D.V.I.S.S.
if y'all listen to the things that Avis say, you feel me? Uh, my man's down here. If y'all really listened, you could see how everything came around and connected with each other. Now,
Yeah.
it's not like we said anything different. It really all connected. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
we got to start. That's why when we sit here and we have these knowledgeful conversations, we can add to our archive. We can and you can go further within that as far as like acceptance and stuff like that, so you can change. A lot of people are not acceptance to change. you know I want to change, I want to change, I want to change, but nobody's actually going to get up to go change. Nobody's going to sit down and take a moment to figure the things out that they need to figure out, and whether it's sacrifices to be made to change, and that's that's really like all I really could say about that. But
Yeah.
hey, man, like I said, stay prayed up. Like I feel like praying saved me, man. Like for any of y'all out there struggling with any battles, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, pray up, and don't just pray up and be like, I'm just praying, like just to pray because I'm hurt. Pray when you up, pray when you down, but then believe in what you praying in. Don't be just praying and then you walk outside the door and you do something that go way against what you just prayed for because you like didn't nobody see it because you fooling yourself at that point. When you lie to yourself, you losing that. You gonna lose that war every time. You lie to
Mm-hmm.
yourself is the biggest thing. I feel like us humans could do. That's probably the biggest mistake. Like don't ever lie to yourself. Keep it real. Believe, have faith, keep your head up through everything and have faith with everything y'all going through for real.
There
Peace,
it is, y'all,
peace
man.
and
All
love,
right,
sis.
brother. Appreciate you, man. Peace and
Peace
love,
and
man.
love.
Yeah, interesting points. Again, if any of you want to join along in the conversation or the reasonings and the talk that we have right now, just know that this does go up on YouTube and Instagram after. But you're more than welcome to come in because we continue these and just talk and just share. And when we do that, we build community through all of this. So appreciate everyone that's here and everyone who's adding and putting in their comments.
Hmm.
Now let's round out this balance
I
before we
want to,
go into balance for like another 30 minutes.
yeah, I want to talk one more thing about balance because so far we've only talked about balance from an individual point of view, the self,
Yes.
but balance is also a communal thing that happens with the community or between the individual
Mm,
and the community. And I want to share this example because it is a powerful example of what I said earlier too about have balance happening over time, right?
yes.
So so guess what? Last week I told you about the Samai people,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there's very little information online about them. But on Saturday, the synchronicity is I went to the local bookstore because I wanted to support it for Small
Mm-hmm.
Business Saturday. And at the free library, guess what? I found this book on the Samai.
Ah.
I was like, oh my
What's going
God,
on, Halo?
it's like, the deities that I'm connected to are like, oh, you got questions? Let me answer them for you. So it's like I was gifted with the book. And so they have a gift economy.
Mm,
And and at first it seems like an unbalanced economy, but once I read further and with patience, I was like, oh, it's actually very balanced and very fair. So
yeah.
there's two rules to the gift economy that they have. So they don't use money. So the first rule is that no direct exchanges between individuals, say between A and B, are allowed.
Okay.
So exchanges are between A and B, C, D, or between a group of people, right?
Mm,
And the second rule is that if you go out and hunt a wild boar, for example, and you bring it back to the tribe, right? Depending on how big of a hunt you got,
mm-hmm.
you basically share it with a group of people, maybe even with the entire settlement. But
Yes.
the rule is that everyone gets an equal share, including the person who hunted, right?
Yes.
Now, in a capitalist society, in a capitalist point of view, you would say, oh, wait a minute, the person who
Person
hunted
wanted.
should get the bigger share, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's actually fair because he proves it in this powerful example here. So I wanted to read from the book a little bit.
All right.
So he
Getting some.
says the intrigue, and so he uses a term called punan, which is a Samai word, which is loosely translated as taboo or not
Okay.
allowed.
Okay.
So the intriguing aspect of the system is that direct exchanges of goods between A and B are punan.
Okay.
At any given time, A gives to B, C, D, and so on. As in the Monopoly game, everyone but A profits. However, B, C, D, and B, C, and D also have to share with A when they get a surplus.
Mm,
For example, A shares a pig with B, C, D, and others. B shares a python with A, C, D, and others.
Okay.
C shares a deal with A, B, D, and others.
Okay.
Some people give less to A than A gives them, others give more. In the
Okay.
long run, A gets back from the group of people with whom he shares roughly the equivalent of what he has given them, though
Mm-hmm.
in his exchanges with any specific person, he may lose more than he gains or vice versa. In short, the economic system ties a Samai to a whole group of people,
Yeah.
and conversely, groups of Samai are bound together by economic ties.
Hmm.
Furthermore, if A gets back from the other people roughly what he has shared with them, he actually profits. If he kept his pig to himself, for example, the meat would go bad long before he could eat it all.
Yeah.
When he gives it all away, it is all eaten.
Mm-hmm.
He then receives an equivalent amount of meat back over a long period of time so that he can eat it without spoilage.
Yes.
Instead of a man's getting too much food at a single time, followed by a long period of scarcity, in other words, imbalance, right?
Mm-hmm.
This sharing system spaces out small portions of food over the same length of time. Since a person receives in small portions about the same amount of food he contributes in large amounts,
Yes.
he actually is able to consume more meat than he could have done if he did not share.
Yep.
The total amount of food available to the group within which food is shared is greater than the amount that would be available to all the individual members had they tried to consume it individually. Everyone profits by this system.
Yes.
The result is that an East Samai individual will contribute his food to the general store not merely because he thinks it is right to do, but because it is to his advantage over
Mm-hmm.
time, right? The
Yes.
sharing of food involves economic ties that make Samai groups more stable than they might otherwise be, which goes back to one of the qualities of balance,
Mm-hmm.
stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, a man can rely on his associates sharing food with him because their sharing ultimately benefits themselves.
Yes. Again, I keep saying it. Y'all gonna get annoyed. There is also another saying in English, or even probably other places, that sharing is caring. And this is an
Hmm.
example of why sharing is caring. Because when you do
Yeah,
share, not only do you benefit, but you also help to benefit the tribe, the group, the whole situation that
exactly.
later on down the line, that say, okay, since we talk about money, everybody trying to get money. Say you end up lending somebody $1 one day and they decide, you know what, like after you've already gotten that, the money that you got, they're like, okay, I'm gonna go and get all this other dollars and stuff, and I'm gonna come back and give you $1. And then the other person told that person that, oh shoot, I actually was able to get this dollar and make more than dollars because of that person before me. So then that other person comes and is like, you know what? I want to learn how I ended up just getting $1 from you to do that. Then
Hmm.
you make another dollar, and then it continues vice versa. Is that literally you have that resource, which is not only the money, but the knowledge of how you were able to make the dollar more. Then you shared that with somebody, then they shared it with another person. They decided, you know what, I want to learn more about it. So I'm gonna come to the source, get it from the source, you
Hmm.
get more. And then again, it starts to grow out, and it not only benefits you, but it benefits the community and those that are involved in it. So now I'm with
Hmm.
you on that. Wow, thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that. And that was from
yeah.
that what's the name of the book again?
Let me flip the camera because you can see it better that way. The Samai and Nonviolent People of Malaya by
Mm,
Robert Knox Denton.
okay. And
Yeah.
hopefully y'all see that on the playback as well too.
Hmm.
But awesome. I'm glad you brought that up too, because that was going to be something I wanted to bring into it, because I know I said earlier, as well as a few other comments was saying about that balance is about the self. That's the first step of balance, is being able to get
Hmm.
yourself in balance, and then that's where you go out and you find that and continue to add that with the community.
Hmm.
I was going to get to that point because again, there's a concept as above so below, as well as we have
Hmm.
the microcosm to the macrocosm. So what happens
Hmm.
to you, or what's happening outside of you, also has an effect of what happens to you on the inside. So if
Hmm.
you are not within balance of yourself, how can you help your community even get balanced? And vice versa. If your community is out of whack and have no type of balance, then you are in there and you experience that. That's why we I would just say this, especially as Black people, but then also just people now within this system, we are experiencing high levels of dysfunction. And now we've
Mm,
made dysfunction the norm. That's
mm,
normal to be in dysfunctional areas and in dysfunctional ways of either living, being together in family units that are just crossed all over the place. And that's where we think those are the building blocks. So when it's the
mm,
dysfunction, it's talk about being imbalanced. So we've learned to come to be imbalanced on things. That's why we have so many issues and symptoms
mm,
of those issues that are showing. Whether if it's the racism that we're experiencing, whether if we see the divisiveness between oh you're right and
mm,
oh I'm wrong or all of those verses, and not knowing that we're not again getting at the root of the problem in the situation. And what that does is when we get at the root and the problem of that situation is we learn to come to figure out the structure, that balance
mm,
again. But I'm glad you
mm,
brought that up because I did want to bring that back. I know I just said it was only on an individual level, but it's
mm.
again getting into. And if you do you have any last points before I was about to segue into this next point?
No, that was it. Like, it's important to acknowledge the community and also that it's a journey, it's an average that happens over time. Like, even with that example where, you know, at first you might think, oh, that's not fair, or that's not balanced. But when you look at the average over time, you're like, oh, actually, that's totally fair and totally balanced.
Yes.
So those 2 points, basically, I want to reemphasize that the community, the communal connection, and also that it's an average over time.
Mm. But yes, y'all, and where I was segue into next was basically since we was talking about balance, and we know there's levels to this balance. The last topic that we have for tonight is the levels of observation.
Mm.
Now, you're asking me, and you're probably gonna be thinking to yourself, okay, what are you talking about when you say levels of observation? So I have a few
It makes
that
me
I'm gonna
think
look
about
up.
the microscope versus the telescope. That's what it makes me think about. Yeah.
There is some levels to it. So there's some scientific methods to what the levels of observation are. There's two of them that I'm gonna look at that talk about three different levels of observation. But again, you can figure a lot of this stuff out too if you
Mm,
go out and just experience life again.
mm,
I mean, I'm saying like, oh, but what specifically in life do I experience? Do I go to a bar? Do I go and go bowling? What do I do? I'm again, you going out and experiencing and you being aware of what you're experiencing is how you build on your levels of observation. Again,
mm,
and I'll tell you some, at least from me, what I would say, at least some levels I would look at when it comes to observation. But I'm gonna share the first few ones that we got here, so you can be like, okay, what we talk about when we mean levels of observation. Okay,
mm.
um, for those that don't know
Hello,
what
AJ
observe
and
is,
Goldman Speech.
yes,
Yeah.
peace and love. If those are not too sure what I mean by observation, I'm talking about you looking and observing your surroundings or what's happening
Mm,
around you. And you can do that in a multitude of ways. But
mm,
I'm going to go through these two that have their three levels, and then we'll speak about any other ones that we may come up with as
mm,
we're talking about it. So, this first one, it's from an interesting website. I just forgot its. I just don't want to say all of its naming. It's a long text. I'm gonna just say that. But they have four components to their levels of observation,
mm,
and their components are as follows: the physical, or basically the physiological; the information theoretical, which this has to do more with not only the numbers but technology; cognitive; and then intentional. And those are their four components to the levels of observation. One, again, physical, physiological; information theoretical, which is more around numbers and
mm,
technology; cognitive; and then intentional, which I say intentionality. So basically, what are you putting forth when it comes to what's the goal? What's your why behind even trying to do that in the first place? But for them, when it comes to that level, and I'm gonna read a little bit, and then again I'll move to the next one, and we'll add our parts and stuff to it, as well as everybody in the comments as well too. Whatever you hear, if something jumps out, please write it down, add it, or you be like, that doesn't make sense. Can you clarify? Please put it down there in the comments. So for them, they say that their physical, psychological level of observation device may be identified such as resolution, which has to do with time and space, delay time characteristics, physical measurements, so like the speed of light, force, all these other different things, as well as analog bandwidth pertaining to this level of observation. So being able to read different channels on inputs. So this is a lot. Again, some of it is technology, but the system that they're using is to notice, okay, what are computers and things are doing as we're just physically watching it. Okay, is the computer moving up and down? What is the computer making certain sounds? Is it literally overheating? This is the physical of what they just see physically happen. The informational theoretical observation that they get from it is describing specifically what is being done theoretically. So, okay, if the channels are moving up and down, are they causing clashes together? And I'm just, again, I'm using some of my own
What
interpretations
channels?
from it. Huh?
What channels?
So it can be, so say literally, we think of it as in a radio. So either you're getting that
Oh,
feedback. So say you try to go to a specific channel, like we might say maybe I say 94.7 a wave. Maybe you're trying to get to 94.7 a wave and you was already on 92.3. And for some reason in between trying to get to those two different channels, there's some interference. So now you start to describe what you see, basically not only based off of what you hear. If you can physically see, like, you know, the lines, like old radios actually would show you when you're like crossing or changing, there's like some type of lines that it kind of shows on, like there's like tickers and symbols. I may be wrong, but again, y'all can look up old style radios and you'll see. But you can notice waves when they're changing depending on where they're crossing when it comes to frequencies. Again, yes, this is a lot of scientific stuff you probably don't want to hear, but this is, don't worry, it's all gonna make sense. I got y'all. But that's the informational. So what is it informing you to? All right, I've already seen this physically, what's happening. Okay, now what is this telling me? This is what it might be telling me. Now the cognitive level of the observation is talking about making things more explicit when it comes to the syntax and the semantics. So how it's being formed. So how you're going to describe it. This is coming from the psychological. So you'll say, okay, I see that the computer's getting hot. Okay, I noticed that the waves keep crossing. Now, what do you call that when the waves are crossing? So starting to come
so
up with
the
the
physical
terms.
is the like seeing it as a pure event exactly as it is, and then the
Yes,
cognitive and psychological is like now you're gonna interpret what this means, or use it to deduce what to decide next, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And then lastly, since you already got it there, is the intentional level, which is the goals and the belief behind it of those involved agents, that you put them all together. Again, I'm not going to keep going further and further because there's a few more information on it, but I just cut it down so where I could understand it. So basically from these levels, it's almost like if you want to talk about the scientific method, you know, learning your hypothesis and doing all of these, you run these tests and these stuff. Like in a way, that's also a level, another level of observation is going through that method. But this one in particular is talking about, okay, start off, I see something's happening. Okay. With that, I notice the information when it crosses these things. Oh, this is what happens. Now I'm thinking, okay, what will I call that when I see that happening? And then, okay, since I called it that, what is my true intention or what is my goal? Since I found out that, okay, when these two frequencies cross, they cause interference, which would be the word for the cognitive. Is like, okay, it causes interference.
That's the
Okay,
labeling, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the labeling. So, all right, now what was my intention behind finding that goal that these interfere? Well, I'm going to end up informing people that, well, if you try to cross these two channels and you try to go from 92.3 to B all the way to 94.7, there's going to be, you're going to experience interference. So be ready for when that happens. And that's the whole level there for them. Those are their four components of, or their four levels of observation.
Yeah.
This is coming from, they're called the Spirit Project in Miami, I
Mm,
guess. But again, I just found this randomly because there's a few other different ones, but that was the first one that I kind of broke down. Um,
mm,
Another one, this one having to do with more so market strategies, because people use this stuff too within the
mm,
market for the stocks and stuff. But there's what they call observational research, and within there, the different types of ways you can observe stuff. There's controlled observation, there's naturalistic observation, and then there's also participant observation. So for them, those are their three levels of observation. And for
mm,
controlled observation, basically what that is is a structured observation that takes place in a lab. So it's somewhere that you
mm,
have a lot of control over, whether you use the
mm,
researcher, whether you use the person of whatever you're trying to figure out. That is your place, your spot where you're comfortable of knowing, okay, I know how this environment works. I know the ins and out. I know all the variables. I know what could happen. But it can limit stuff, of course. The second one is naturalistic observation. So one of my favorites, honestly, are going out. I think it's some of the the best teacher is literally just natural observation. You going outside, not being a close nosy and just being all up in everybody's business. Like, oh yeah, what you doing? What you doing? What's going on? Like, okay, what y'all talking about? Oh, you talking about? No, like literally just going through your life experiencing, and you see things happen. And you're like, oh damn, why did that actually happen? And you go back, find information. And you're like, oh, so this is what that means. Or watching the birds, watching nature. Like literally, there's so much that you can learn just from the naturalistic observation, and that's just stuff that you can't control. You just
mm,
see it and it happens. um
mm,
and you have no, again, you have no influence over it. You're just happen to passing by, and then that just happens, or
mm,
you get to experience that. And then the last one, which is the participant observation, which is basically now you're asking for people to, and now they're aware of what's going on, which can also create another thing that people call the halo effect. Which for some people who don't know, the halo effect is when literally people know that they're being observed, and they know that they're doing a study or being conducted for a study, and their answers won't be as truthful as you will want them to be, because they want to be seen as good in the researcher's eyes. So it
mhm,
can create a halo effect. But
mm,
with the participant, now you're getting people and you're letting them know what's going on, and you're asking them to be a part of whatever this situation is, the experience. And again, it can go either way with any of that and how that happens. But this is their three levels, and when it
yeah,
comes to
it's
them of
interactive, so there's
observation.
less control over it, right?
Yes,
It's almost like the different levels of less and less control as you go higher and higher,
yes,
or wider and wider. Yeah.
yes. And again, this is another, and this is for this particular one is their three levels, but they call it observational research.
Mm. It even makes me think about the Xenobot story again, because one of the things they said in their Zoom presentation this morning was that uh, there's a reason why they have robots for manufacturing cars, but
Yeah.
they've never really made robots for making skyscrapers, for example, right?
Mm,
And the reason is because of that naturalistic, the one that you said,
mm-hmm.
because there's more control indoors.
Yeah.
Whereas outdoors, there are so many variables they can't control.
Yes.
And they were saying that's why they're excited. That's another reason why they're excited about the Xenobots, because it's kind of a naturalistic setting,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still within the control of the laboratory. It's like a mix of the two, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just with those few examples, the four as well as these three from here, what I want to really just say about the levels of observation, and we'll get to it a bit more, is that the key component that I keep seeing in all of these levels here, and we were already talking about it earlier, even within the balance of the
Mm,
cons that you could think of for the balance, is the intention. It's the
mm,
purpose. It's the why behind it. So why are you observing what you're observing? What is your means to an end? What is your goal? And when it comes to figuring out how you're going to get to there, that's where we get these levels. We have levels in a whole grip of stuff. Video game levels. You have levels you get up again, the skyscraper and buildings like you were saying before. And what that does is just to help you transition to know that, okay, I already started from here and now let me build on top of this. So again, if we're trying to construct and create something either new or revamp it or update it, we have to know what are our steps to get there. So I'm just putting out there these ones here because for me the key thing that's in all of that when you're figuring out is the intention behind it. Like what are you trying to
Yeah.
get from this?
It makes me think about the term blind spots too, right? Because
Mm,
how much you're aware of is limited by the level you're at, right? It even makes me think about the science fiction novel Flatland,
hmm.
which was written to give an analogy for why we cannot, human beings, at least as far as we know, are not able to access the fourth and the fifth, the higher dimensions. We're not aware of them. So they invented the scenario where what if there was these two-dimensional beings who are
Mm-hmm.
not aware of the three dimensions, right? So for them, if a three-dimensional sphere, right, came into this world, they
Yes.
would not see the sphere. What they would see instead is a circle that keeps expanding and contracting. And it would be this mysterious, amazing thing for them. They're like, what is this thing that's expanding and contracting? Because
Yes.
they're only seeing the slice, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for us, the fourth dimension, it can be like that. Even if a fourth dimensional object came into the earth, we would not see the whole thing. We would just see a mysterious object that keeps changing its shape, and we'd be like, what is that? We're
Yes.
limited by our own vision and awareness.
Yes. Again, the physical.
The physical.
Now, on top of that, I'm gonna share at least how I phrase and put together for me when you want to talk about okay levels of observation. For me, how I look at it, again, I'm gonna say it again. All of this stuff is paired together with balance with all of this, and I do this on purpose and I do it with intention for a reason, y'all. If you don't like it, if you're tired of me saying it, just know I write these all together on purpose. Okay? How I look at the levels of observation, I do it from again another wise saying. I look at it from the Trinity, which is the mind, body, and soul. That's how I use my levels for levels of observation. So what my body is observing and what I'm seeing outside of me in my environment, it goes straight into my mind. I figure out, okay, how do I put this in, could it and add it all together and then transfer it down into the soul, which we can also say is the spiritual aspect. And you say, okay, what does this bring about here spiritually? Is there anything else that I'm missing? So the inside of that, and then you come out and you get your result. And depending on that level of observation, those levels of observation being the body, mind, and soul, or people like to say mind, body, soul, you're able to know not only, again, your intention, but you are able to have that balance, that structure to know, okay, anytime I see something like this happen, I know what to do. I know where to go, as well as let me also add it to the other previous experiences to see if they are the same or are they different based on because I'm in this part of the city or I'm eating this type of food or I'm having this type of conversation or reasoning with a different person. Will it be the same result? Will it be something different? And if not, I add to it. And then that's where you get perspective. All of this all together brings together that perspective. So we do this naturally, y'all. Like the process I used right there to explain that is that we do this unknowingly on a natural basis. Like right now, like when we go back and forth, you talk with somebody, you're listening. You don't you it's funny. You also notice people's nonverbal communication, their behavior, things and stuff like that. That's already an instance of you using a mind, body, soul. And then your soul is that connection piece again. So I'm saying that here too. Whether you resonate with what the person is saying, or you relate to what they're saying, or you don't. And then that's where you come back to get your perspective. So we do this
Mm-hmm.
without knowing. We do a lot of things. So all of our behaviors, not only just within psychology, but just as humans, are all they have words, they have phrases, and they have sayings behind them. It's just now being aware of the fact so that you're doing that and that that's there. You put it into action, and now you're able to really, again, prepare yourself for whatever may end up happening so that you can keep that balance.
Yeah, I also think about another model, which is the model of, and there are two ways of phrasing that. One is the more simple version where they say, you know what
Mm-hmm.
you know what you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe even a fourth level where it's like you don't know what you know. It's because of trauma or whatever. What you know is hidden from you and you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so those four levels. And there's another version of that, which I think is conscious
Oh
incompetence, and then
yes,
unconscious incompetence, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I have it right here. I always do. And shouts out to Sean Stevenson of the Model Health Show. I haven't watched it in a long while, but that's where I learned this
Mm.
first. It's from the un. This it's
What's
called. It's
up,
the
Freddie and
unconscious.
Frosty?
It's the unconscious incompetence, which then
Mm-hmm.
turns into the conscience incompetence, then
Mm-hmm.
goes to the conscience
Competence,
competence, and
and
then
then
it's the
unconscious
unconscious
competence.
incompetence.
Exactly. Yeah,
Exactly. What's
yeah.
going on, y'all? Y'all all up in
What's
here,
up?
man. Y'all coming in on the last parts, but good to see everyone in here,
Good
man.
to
It's
see
always
everyone.
good, fam. Freshly Frosty in the building, and the brother Freddie back in here, man. Good to see y'all. Yeah, but we're talking about the levels of observation, and we were just giving examples of all the different levels that we are speaking on. I already spoke on two other ones. Then I talked about
Mm-hmm.
the one I use, which is a phrasing that people say in just in wise sayings, is the mind body soul connection, or I like to say, of course, the body mind soul connection. And then Kundi was
Mm-hmm.
given two other ones, which we were just talking about. And we just got into this one, but yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
That was very interesting. But go ahead.
yeah. Frosty says I'm unconscious. I don't know what she means by that.
I hope you're not
I hope
unconscious, because
not.
I mean you're here on the live, so I hope you're
So,
not unconscious. You know? Ah man, that's too
yeah.
funny. But
But
yeah, but
yeah, Sean
continue.
Stevenson, didn't he write the book on sleep as
Sleep smart.
well, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sleep
Sleep
Smarter.
smarter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have it. I
yeah.
actually passed it off to a few people because I had a also a PDF of it. But that book is so valuable, and for me, if people know too, I'm not always an avid reader, but I love
Mm-hmm.
reading when I get the time to do so, and when I
Mm-hmm.
have good information that I find, and I know it's like I know I might just buy me another one because it's that good that I pass it on. So I passed that book on, so I got to
Mm-hmm.
buy me another one. But there's two editions of it. There's the first edition, which is the dark blue cover, which is called Sleep Smarter. I got That's how I got all my stuff set up the way I did, because I took a lot of different keynotes from
Mm-hmm.
that. And then there's the updated version, which is a white with like a light bluish color of the Sleep Smarter, where he adds in, I think is it either a 14 or a 20-day list of
Mm-hmm.
working towards sleeping smarter. But yeah,
Yeah. Remember my post on sleeping better or increasing your sleep?
yeah,
Some of it is taken from his book, like some of the information on that. Like,
yeah. I
yeah,
definitely
there,
recommend
yeah,
that book to anybody
yeah.
when it comes to learning how to sleep smarter. I've still
Mm-hmm.
been having my struggles back and forth with sleep. I'm just getting right back with it. But I like to also read other things that are in the same vein, so then I can get, again, we talk about the balance and the full perspective of
Yeah, in
everything
fact,
else.
going back to the balance and sleep, for me, like, the difficulty is anticipating the seasonal changes and being able to maintain the same schedule when the season changes from, like, say, summer to winter. When it's colder, I tend not to wake up as early, for
Yeah.
example, or even go out because it's cold,
J
you know.
Fuse.
Uh, so I have to now integrate and anticipate seasonal changes into my sleep schedule and my waking up schedule as well. That's on my agenda. So that goes back to the balance, where that's part of the balance as well, to remember your body temperature and how your body responds to the outside temperature too.
Yes, y'all. And shouts out to everyone that's coming up in here. Life is but a dream. 714 representing the OC. Santa Ana in the building. And it got Jay Fuse from OC as well. What's good, my brother? He said, "Who's conscious that we're all what that we are all thinking?" You're saying so, like
Yeah.
who's like, yeah. So I get you. We
I
we
mean, if
have
you're
that's why we have
thinking, you're
levels.
conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have the levels, bro. Like the levels of observation we speaking on. There's the levels to sleep. Y'all don't know. There's different what's it call it? Hertz, brain waves, and
Mm-hmm.
different frequencies that we're on. You have the delta, you have the theta, you have the beta. Beta is the one that mostly runs through the rest of our days at a higher frequencies because we
Mm-hmm.
are conscious. And then you have again the delta, the theta, and then there's also another one that is just slipping my mind. Oh, alpha. Sorry, there's the alpha, the beta, the delta, and the theta. And each one of them is underlining from being from conscious going into the unconscious. And again, y'all can look this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
A book for that I would recommend is actually a book by Jose Silva, which is the mind control method.
Oh yeah, I have that book.
The
The
Silva mind
Silver Mind
control
Control.
method.
Mm-hmm.
There's a diagram that he uses in that book. There's also another one that is called You the Healer, which is also by him as well, by Jose Silva, that actually gives that same diagram, but that book is just giving you the techniques versus the other book, the Silva mind control method, is telling you the story behind it and how it led up to it. But that's a book I recommend again to y'all. Jose Silva, you can just Google that and you'll find
Mm-hmm.
them real quick. But
Yeah.
yeah, so let's see. Let's see what people is up here saying. Y'all are going in for real. It says sleep raises consciousness awareness. If you can integrate books of dreams and symbology, that's why there's a such thing. Also, I had a what's the word on lucid dreaming a while back. We was talking
Yeah,
about
there's
lucid
levels to
dreaming.
dreaming and sleeping too. Yeah.
It, come on, y'all. Come on with the trip out. Yeah, we're dreaming right now. I realized this when I overdosed on fentanyl. I took a little step out, but not fully, just enough to see this reality isn't all that it is.
Oh
Another
yeah,
thing
of
we can call
course.
about
Yeah.
that level of look at. So that level of sleeping, you have your unconscious, then you have you have your conscious, because you can still kind of be aware when you're still asleep. That's why we have you're half awake, half asleep. You know that half sleep. Then you got, of course, you're going into your unconscious type of sleep, and that even breaks down either whether you are vividly dreaming, which we have lucid dreaming, so you're able to control your dreams, or you're not able to control your dreams. Or the next level to that is what they will call astral projection, that you're able to step outside the body of yourself and experience yourself having a dream, even though you're outside of yourself having another experience. So there's levels to this, man. There's so many. Like we're talking, I know we're going to observation, but this all goes together to let you know that literally however you observe and you see anything in life, and we're talking about sleep right now in particular, is that there is a level and there's a proper way of you going into those steps. And if you try to bypass those steps and you try to jump to from step 1 to step 8, you're going to miss out on a lot of the formula, as well as something is going to go wrong. That's the other thing I wanted to at least get into when it comes to the levels of observation too, is you got your trial and error. You got, those things that could, not go well when you're observing and looking and learning things. That's why it's important that you're aware of and you properly prepare to prevent poor performance. You do all of that so that you can set yourself up to get your end result, or your finding will come out to be either what you were thinking it would be, or it'll add something else to it, but it won't be disastrous. Because this is one thing I will say, and I'm gonna throw it right back to you, Kundin, is this is where some people get it wrong, and they actually trip themselves out when they begin to come to awareness, or come to epiphanies, or their consciousness, and becoming awake or woke, whatever you want to call it. Is people start to induce opening their third eye very quickly and leaving steps out that some people
Yeah.
actually, it does more of harm to them
They do
versus
it too
more
fast,
good.
without
Mm-hmm.
connecting to the roots first, the roots occur first. Yeah.
Exactly. Let me see. Dang, we got a paragraph up in here. Life is but a dream. I see. Look, your name. I did not. Wow. Now I finally put piece of piece together. Life is but a dream. Boom. That's why we even have. Bro, look it. I'm gonna say it again. Y'all can get mad at me. That's why there are also nursery rhymes that we have and we remember too. They have so much meaning to it. The row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a
Mm.
dream. Like, listen to some of that stuff. Look into those keys. But let's see. I just got sober and I'm having dreams of being at the beach surfing with a surfboard with a wind catcher. And I was also catching waves with the wind, and I was able to jump from the board to the dock. To me, I see from this dream, everything affects everything, and you have to control it for you to focus on your focus. Come on, God, where you at? Life is a song. I mean, of course, like look
Mm.
at again, like I said, a lot of this stuff, even earlier, again, shouts out to Chairman Dallas, it came up in here. Even Lauryn Hill even said it too in the song. They have a song, Everything is Everything. I know everything is interconnected. It's just all about you, again, getting to those levels that you were talking about earlier when we was talking about the balance, is you have those dots. Now it's all about you when we was talking about knowledge to wisdom. It's connecting those dots. And after you've able to connect those dots and know which dots works all well together, you get the wisdom behind it and you get to see the full picture. But it's so easy to see how things are connected. I can literally try to connect again. I can tell you how these earbuds are connected to how well I can sleep. Some people might be like, okay, well, how can you end up doing that? Well, there's a way, shoot, literally for you to block out sound because your body not only, again, we have all these different senses. Your body not only sees things, your skin is the biggest receptor for light, as well as when you can't sleep at night and you have certain sounds. For some people, they can't sleep; they don't like sounds. So these earbuds helps people go to sleep. Since we're also on that sleep subject too, but again, you can literally pick anything up and try to connect it to anything else in life. Like seriously. But yo, let's see. Y'all is going in. Said vocal cords. Life is a song being played out by us instruments. Yes. Yes. Focus on your focus at all times. Your attention is where your energy is flowing. All right, Mr. Wu Wei over here. Mr. I got the philosophies on lock, Confucius, aka Socrates, all these people. I'm just playing. But yeah, going back into the levels of observation, depending on any way that you use any level of observation, for me, I like the whole mind body soul, or literally the body mind soul connection. Any level or any message you use, just know what your intention is behind that and what the outcome will be. And even if you don't know if that's going to be the outcome, use that so it'll be your framework, it'll be your structure, your balance, so that when you go wherever you end up going, you already have your structure and you'll see if it works here, and if it doesn't, you adjust. But I don't know if you have anything else, Kundin, before I think this is almost around the right time to start, ending up for the show. But you have anything else on this levels?
I think uh, another level to be aware of is the level. You just described it earlier, but I wanted to reiterate in a different way, which is the difference between pure observation and interpretation or giving it a meaning. And then
Mm,
the third one is setting a boundary. So uh, the boundary awareness and interpretation and pure observation, right? Those three. I think
mm,
the ability to know reality exactly as it is very important
yes.
uh, because sometimes we carry on uh, the meanings that we give to childhood events become
Yeah.
permanent beliefs that in some cases might limit or blur your lens. with which you see reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were not respected in child when you were a child,
Yes.
if you were constantly denigrated, told you were bad or sinful or whatever, uh, or evil or not good enough
Mm-hmm.
or unlovable, then you might, in as an adult, might get into constant fights, for example, because you constantly think you're not respected, or you might uh, be have fear of rejection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you feel you're not good enough, because you still see reality in that lens that you're not worthy.
Hmm.
And so one of the ways that people release that I release, limiting beliefs for clients is to take people through those series of childhood events
Yes.
and help them see that, give different meanings to those events. And once they're able to give multiple meanings, they notice that even though the event was real, and to really
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge the pain, right, that it really was painful, but not to add more pain to it with that meaning that is so carrying, and she help them see, wait a
Yes.
minute, that meaning that you gave never actually happens, because you cannot touch meaning the way you can touch an orange, because
Yes.
that's real. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot see meaning the way you can see a real event,
Mm-hmm.
which goes to show that meaning was all, in their head, right?
Yes.
So that's how I do it. But it can be abused. This technique that's supposed to heal can be abused, and some people can use it for gaslighting, where people being like, "Oh, that's just the meaning you gave that event."
Yeah.
No, no, no. And this is why I add the extra layer of boundary awareness, where there are situations where somebody really is, uh, violating your boundary for real, and you're not
Mm-hmm.
deluding yourself. It has nothing to do with your limiting beliefs. This is really happening. But all of it again goes back into seeing reality exactly as it is.
Yes.
Because in this case also, the actual reality is your boundaries being violated, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is like the most important skill, I think, especially in the
Mm.
20th century, seeing reality exactly as it is,
Yes.
A few weeks ago, I gave the example of Yuval Harari observing his breath, right? Where when he was meditating in the beginning, he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't even observe his breath for more than three breaths.
Yes.
And even that was a big breakthrough when he realized that, oh my God, if I don't even know the reality of observing my own breath for more than three breaths, then how can I know the reality of geopolitics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was his field of study, right? Of history, things like that. Same thing
Yeah.
in our own lives. If we don't even know the reality of our own breath, how can we know when we're experiencing the reality of our boundaries being violated, or
Yeah.
even the reality of what the vaccines are really about? All of those things.
Yes. Yeah.
It goes back to that skill, knowing reality exactly as it is.
Yes. Man, awesome as usual, man. Look at.
Observing reality exactly as it is, to use this term here, observation. Yeah.
Yes. Everything is a ritual. Keep your mind magical. We go back in here. I'm gonna read some comments. Then I'm gonna end up summing up my last little bit for this, and then we're gonna end it for tonight's show, as well as I'm gonna shout out everyone that stayed with us. My goodness. All right, so bedtime is just as important as being awake, point blank, but coming to the waking state with memory from the other side will propel you into the direction you want to go in this density. Yes, again, because we talk about frequency, vibrations, and all of that sort, but there's a way. Again, that's what the lucid dreaming, whatever it is interpretation of your dreams, because your unconscious is always going to be active, regardless. Even if when you asleep, awake, all of that, it's still happening. It's processing back there. But when you're able to tap into that and you get stories, so sometimes your dreams are more than just only for your own entertainment, y'all. Like there's key points in there. There's signs. You learn to read signs, and then you take that out and figure out, okay, how does that really apply to my conscious reality? Then you got something there. Awesome. You guys are on point. You're on point as well. This really can happen to you by default, or you can control it just like lucid dreaming. There, do rituals like you're working or going to work, settling up desk with a pen and paper, and pencil jar. Yes. Um, There's books, bro. There's a whole lot of that stuff there. Again, if you want to know too, it's another thing. I'll add this to y'all. All technology that was created is all in a reference to the human body. All technology. Our computers, TVs, cars, buildings, even these new xenobots. They're all, and I mean, it has to go into the body. So
They're all
all of this
extensions of
technology,
our senses,
they're
right?
all extensions of our senses and ourself. So
Mm-hmm.
if all these other things can be programmed, how do we not know that we ourselves can be programmed? And we talk about it a lot, about being, programmed. And it's not only like, oh, I put in the new Windows 10 in your body and now you're programmed. Not in that sense, but we have things such as toxic masculinity that adds to some programming. We have sayings as being
Toxic
narcissistic and
positivity. Yeah.
toxic positivities and things. All the words, and the words are real spells. I'm going to keep saying it. All these words that we have and says to us adds to that programming, our ways of living, our observations that we make, the things that we learn from our parents, from our peers. Everything around us has an influence to that said programming. But again, a way for you to build and grow out of that is learning to create your own programming and to reprogram what was programmed into you, that it can help you be a more sustainable version of yourself. When we say versions of yourself, again, I'm not going to go too crazy into the words, but ultimately, y'all, how I want to round a lot of this stuff out. And depending on some of y'all, if y'all still want to stay, y'all let me know, because I wasn't going to have an after show. If y'all want, I can, but we'll do this here. Ultimately, with all of this, you putting it and setting it together, the key thing is knowing not only of your awareness, but really starting to know the abilities of yourself and how that all formats to how you play this game of life, or how you move with the balance and the structure that you create ultimately. But with that, let me go ahead and, if Kun, if you had one last thing, go ahead, and I want you to add to that. But before we do, shouts out to Giselle for being here for almost the whole show. Thank you so much. As well as shouts out to Life is But a Dream _714 being here as well and adding. And shout out to all those who came in and popped in. Dallas, Chairman Dallas, everyone. I appreciate y'all so much, because without y'all, man, this would not continue as well as become what it is. This is the building, and y'all are the builders helping to build along with us, whether if it's your first time or you are returned every single time. So thank y'all.
Yeah.
But Kuna, do you have
Yeah,
a
when I
last thought?
was referring to subconscious limiting beliefs earlier, those are basically virus programming that
Mm-hmm.
that is not good for you. That's, self-perpetuating and just limiting you in your lenses.
Yes.
So it is a program. So, and the good news is you can delete the program or change the program. And better yet, after you delete even one or two of those programs, you can get back to the source code by asking yourself, uh, who am I really without this thing that I really truly thought was me, but it's gone, but I'm still alive even though that's deleted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when everything's deleted, what remains?
Mm.
And then you will get into the source code of your programming, who you really are,
Ooh.
right?
Ooh. Look at y'all. Look at, man. So much fire tonight, and a lot of it is all very similar, but been said
Mm-hmm.
in different ways
Mm-hmm.
for those who want to grasp it in so many other ways. But wow,
Mm-hmm.
man, thank you, man. That was definitely profound, and it did wrap
Mm-hmm.
and tie a lot of it well. If y'all want to look at it the computer side ways, your source
Mm-hmm.
code, the root, everything, that
Mm-hmm.
solar plexus, that's the soul that has the percentage of the sun. That's why we're a percentage of the
Mm-hmm.
sun. Look at, I get into these words all day. I love it. But all right, with that, y'all, we're going to wrap up for tonight. Again, thank you for everyone coming through. Thankful for those that are here with us now. Again, shouts out to Giselle, as well as shouts out to Life is But a Dream, and Kundin also as well as coming in. One thing that I value, and I say it a lot, is I value people's time, because that is one resource that can never be gotten back. So thank y'all so much for your time and being here with me. And shout out to those who will watch this later on Instagram and YouTube, okay? That's all for y'all as well, too. Just follow your boy on YouTube when it goes to subscribing at A.D.V.I.S.S Speaks. But with that, to wrap up, y'all, when it comes to current events, news, and sources of that sort, please take time to create your plan. Be aware of what is happening around you, because ultimately, what happens on the bigger stage has an effect on the smaller stage, which is you and your community. So be ready, willing, and pay attention, and read between the lines when you read these news reports. When you hear these news reports, there's key words. It's not only for entertainment, it's also to open up the mind. Second, when it comes to balance, Kundin stated it before, at least for me, balance is that structure. Harmony, coexistence, all these other elements are those actions that will either build, waver, or add to that structure that you already have with balance. So ultimately, balance is not just only, what is the good, but it's also what is the bad. It's the wholeness of all those parts combined together. So with that structure, anywhere you go, you are able to be fluid, flexible, adaptable, as well as open to knowing what will work and what won't work. So make sure you keep the balance. Know the harmony, everything else. Shouts out to the brother Sabu Smooth. This is the ending of the show, bro, but appreciate you coming through here, man. And lastly, when it comes to the levels of observation, the main thing to know, and I say it from all these other levels, is what's your intention? What's your why behind what you're doing with your observation? Is it to help? Is it to harm? Or is it to come to create a balance to those actions that you noticing outside? So you know, wherever you go, for me, it's the mind, body, soul connection. I use that as my levels of observation. So if I'm able to observe what I'm seeing with my body, process it in my mind, then bring it down into my soul, my core, my source code, and it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, I create my perspective and I create my action that will help me continue with my balance. But whatever you use for your level of observation, know what your intention is behind it and how it will continue to either help, or some people want it to harm, your idea of balance. But with that, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all so much. Thank y'all for your time again. I've been your brother A.D.V.I.S.S. This has been Kundin. Just know, anytime you want to come, we do this every Wednesday. And I'll let y'all know when we'll get to the seasons and ending and stuff of that. But you'll get more information as that comes. But thank y'all for coming to today's show. We will catch y'all next Wednesday. But just remember this. Continue to stay aware. Keep building on yourself, whether if it's for that, either side you want. But remember the whole, the good and the bad of yourself. Not only the positivity, but also knowing the past and keeping it all together. But with that, y'all, we'll catch y'all next Wednesday. Thank y'all so much. We'll see y'all. Tune in next time. Peace and love. It's all good, West Coast. I'll catch you next time, G. I love you, brother. Peace.